PS2.
Yeah. Well, that's because what's his name? Robbie Coltrane died, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
So I was like, oh, I feel like not that what? Not the Coltrane from Gears of War.
Yeah, Coltrane runs on whole grain, baby.
On whole grain, baby.
Oh. Oh, good, man.
I tried to write a list of like 5 games I want to talk about. Wrote 20, so I'm gonna have to cut some of them out.
Well, we did. Well, actually,
to why, isn't it? As you're going on.
Yeah, look, don't have to get into like all of them. Just rattle them off.
I think the last one we said 5 games, and then Webby's like, I've got about 40.
To be fair, I'm looking at Webby's list, and I see the yellow ones are ones he's talked about, and the white ones are the ones he hasn't talked about. And I'm like, some of mine are on the hasn't talked about list. We can cross the 2 out at once. Like, I see you wrote Dark Souls. I wrote Dark Souls, so that's all right. We can knock that one out together.
I've got 8 written down: Alan Wake, Fallout 3, Assassin's Creed 2, Fable 2, Forza Motorsport 3. But I think Webby might be talking about that.
You wrote down the worst Assassin's Creed game.
Don't fucking start with me, bitch. Already had enough of you last week talking about Resi 6. I like that. Someone said to me, he's like, I think Resi 6 is better than 4 and 4 and 5.
I played the Resi 6 demo. I played the demo of Resi 6. The demo was crap. That's why I didn't buy it. Remember when games used to have demos? You could decide if you wanted to buy it or not.
No,
we are getting a demo for RE4. It's just going to be a bit closer to the release.
Well, demos used to come out about 2 weeks to a month before the game.
Right.
Yeah, I remember playing some demos back in the day. I used to get demo discs with the official Xbox magazine.
Yeah,
they used to have like 20 demos preloaded.
I still got them with my PS1.
Some of them came with keys to unlock gamer pictures. Wow. Those were the days. Although now it doesn't matter because you put a custom image on your Xbox. So
how old are you now, Elliot?
23, 24 in January.
And you've already started back in my day. Things was better.
Did you talk about the game? Is anyone talking about the game that you've got as your pick, Elliot?
I am talking about it.
Fair
Yes.
enough. What Fallout was it? New Vegas?
It's at the top of my list, Darren. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Fallout 3 because we could sort of punch them together. Yeah.
I put a slash next to it. I wrote both.
This will be fun. I didn't really like New Vegas.
I also want to quickly rattle off. I don't have much of a story as to how I got my 360, but I do remember the games I got with it and what model it was.
Yeah.
So
we'll start that.
It's not much of a story. I got it as a Christmas present.
Well, you know how this works. We try to have structure, and then we just start talking shit.
I'm really glad I got on, and I'm glad this is at a good time because 360 was like my console. I mean, PS2 or 360, but probably 360. What a time!
Good times. Well,
it's not the same now. Half time, no one's ever on the same game.
I know. Well, I was saying this last night, because there was 5 of us all on Modern Warfare 2 last night, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But I was saying to Peeves, I was like, I'm looking through my friends list. I had like 41 people online, and only about 8 people were playing COD. And back in the day, when a new COD come out, everyone would be playing.
I was playing with Frosty just before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've got all the assault rifles to max level. I've just got 1 to do. I've done 7 out of 8 to max level. Those double XP tokens they gave me really helped me.
Nice.
I've played 4 hours today.
I think I've played like 4 hours in total.
Oh, I've got about 45 hours total. 15 of that was campaign, and the rest is.
You about to say 15 of that was camping.
Nah. Never camped in my life, Darren. Never will.
Well, I deleted Overwatch because that's a pile of wank.
Oh, I uninstalled that today too.
Oh, it's fucking awful, isn't it?
That's just I can't get a fucking game in half the time. It's like, would you like to walk around an empty arena until we can get you into a game? It's like, okay. And the best I had 55 minutes once. I'm like, seriously?
Well, I feel like using the name Overwatch 2 is a bit deceptive because it's just Overwatch 1 with a couple maps in it.
Yeah, it is.
It's not even a separate launcher. It's literally patched over the top of the old one.
Yeah. Not good, man. Not good.
Anyway, instead of
Well,
bitching about how gaming is now, should we talk about how gaming was better?
yeah, let's do it. And a free.
What's the order?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just go Nick, Sly, me.
All right,
I'm
you
used to
ready?
going last.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Am I sounding all right? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Just
sound
to
fine.
double check. Yeah. Okay. And a 3. And a 2. Oh, what date? What date is it today? The 5th, 6th.
Today's the 5th of
So what day is
November. What?
is Tuesday the 8th then? 6, 7,
Yeah.
8. Yeah. Okay. And a 3. And a 2 and a 1. Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 143 for Tuesday, the 8th of November 2022. Xbox 360 special part 2, motherfuckers! I'm your host, Mark Webb, Gamertag, Pierce on the D, Steam ID, Webby360G, and joining me on this very fine evening is.
Remember, the 5th of November, Snick fights. Please don't burn me alive.
It may or may not be Sly Almond. You're going to have to pay $8 to verify me.
And Sensei Switch back again.
Back again with the Renegade Master.
Mm.
How's it going?
Good.
All
Reasonable
good?
hour, this recording.
We have Sly on this week. Oh my
It's 6
goodness.
p.m.
Oh my
There's
goodness.
still sun outside.
That's insane. Insane. We are
Appreciate the
recording
early recording.
early on a Saturday because of reasons. People weren't available and things and bits and pieces. So yeah, it's all good, man. So anyway, we are doing part 2 of the Xbox 360 special. So if you haven't listened to part 1, I would suggest listening to that before this one. We talked about our stories on how we got our Xbox 360s, talked about some of our favourite memories, and then we ran out of time as we were going through our favourite games because there's so bloody many in that generation. So I know Sly wasn't on last week, so I don't know if Sly wants to start us off by giving us his memory of getting his Xbox 360.
Yeah, it's not too much of a story, but I know the model and I know what games I got. So let me take you back to a time, Christmas 2007. I just moved here to Australia, and my parents were like, "We got your console for Christmas," and I was super excited, and I unboxed it, and it was Nintendo Wii, and I was.
Oh, you poor thing!
I got a Wii, and you know what? I made the most of the Wii. I played the Super Mario Galaxy, I played Wii Sports, but then we fast forward to Christmas 2008, and my parents must have realised my disappointment Christmas 2007, because this time round, I got an Xbox 360 Elite with a 120 gig hard drive, the black one, with a double pack with Kung Fu Panda and Lego Indiana Jones was the game came bundled in it. Oh, Lego Indiana Jones, fantastic game. Didn't put it on my list of games to talk about, but great game. Loved that one. And then I also got a couple other games. I got Gears of War 2, which as a 9-year-old was fantastic. Love that game. I also got what else did I get? I got Assassin's Creed 1 and Mass Effect 1. And I bought myself a game called Face Punch. It is an EA, it's a boxing game where you have cartoon characters and you beat the crap out of each other. But in a boxing ring.
Never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's called Face Punch. Face Breaker.
Right up there with Sneak King.
Is it Face Breaker? It might be Face Breaker. Now I think about it. I was just looking at it. It's Face Breaker. Yeah, it was alright. But no, I think I spent the majority of my time for that first sort of period after I got my 360. It was Gears of War 2 o'clock. Loved that game. Many fond memories. Many of which I'll get into later. But yeah, my first 360, Christmas 2008, was it was the black Elite model with the 120 gig hard drive, and it was fantastic. And that started me down a slippery slope of Gamerscore and online multiplayer and party chats. I still haven't recovered. The addiction's still there 14 years later.
So how old were you when you got your Xbox 360?
I was 9, My birthday's
Wow.
January, so I was almost 10. I was on the cusp of 10.
And how old were you when you started listening to the podcast?
See, now I get a bit slippery on that. I can't remember if I started listening before I got my 360 and it got me hyped to get a 360, or if I started listening right after I got my 360.
Oh,
The second
okay.
one makes more sense. So I guess
Like,
10.
yeah, into something, and you're looking for stuff that people are talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 10. I'll say 10. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm 23 now.
Oh my god. So old. So old.
Yeah.
All the times we've
So
been through listening. All the times you've been through listening to the show, through school, uni.
all the cancellations, all the reboots.
Yeah, it's
I've been
crazy.
here for them all.
Wow.
Well, I look forward to talking about some of my favorite games that I played. The 360, I think it's my favorite console of all time.
Yeah.
I think it has to be. So many hours. Oh god, I've got some stories. I played on when I moved to this house. The house came with a TV in one of the bedrooms, and I was like, oh, well, that saved me money in buying a TV. I'll play it. I have a TV in my room. The fucking thing burned up after 30 minutes, and this whole screen went red. So I remember playing, and so it would overheat after 30 minutes, the TV, and I played with that
wow.
TV for about a year. So I
Wow.
remember, for the most part, I was really into X-Men Origins Wolverine. Good game, terrible film. But I played that whole game with like a red just filter over my screen because it would just overheat.
Wow.
I think the game that did it was Modern Warfare. I think I played like 13 hours of Modern Warfare and I blew out the cathodes or whatever in the TV.
Oh wow.
You kids don't know you're born. I had a black and white TV when I was a kid.
Well, I had red TV.
Okay. At least that's better than black and white.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh well.
Yeah.
It's mad that
God 4 will do that to you.
it's mad that I think about the Xbox, and I've been subscribed to Xbox Live for 19 years now, which is
Wow.
an insane amount of time. And I've still got friends that I've met on the original Xbox and the 360 who are still game with, which I think is awesome, and met some of my best friends and stuff online, which is really, really cool. And I was thinking about this earlier with the Xbox 360. I think it just came at the perfect time, I think because obviously the original Xbox came out, and it was online gaming and that was great, but the 360 was kind of that perfect time in technology where the Xbox 360 came out, and we talked about this last week, but with the TV technology was moving on at quite a fast pace as well. And we talked about going from standard def to 720p, 1080i, 1080p. Which was fantastic time for technology, but also with the broadband infrastructure just moving at such a pace as well. We were in the transition still really from dial up to super fast broadband, and more people were getting super fast broadband, which was fantastic. And just, graphics were coming along at such a rate as well, and just everything just seemed to meld together to such a crescendo where it was just the perfect time, in my opinion, to be a gamer. Because I think now you've got there's too much choice for multiplayer gaming, which is why I think games are so diluted now. People are diluted everywhere, whereas back then, the communities I felt were a lot stronger and cohesive because everyone was more or less playing the same, say, 2 or 3 multiplayer games on the console. Yeah. And
I think you also think back as well. Sorry for sort of jumping in, but back then we didn't have what was known as like the yearly release.
Yes.
So when a game came out for a game series, you were like, cool, we can play this for a good few years. And nowadays it's like, oh, you got to get the new yearly update for it.
The exception to that, of course, being COD. Given that COD's never missed a year since COD 3. In fact, next year there is no COD. It's going to be the first time there's not been a COD in like 15 years.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So
sure
there's been a
it'll be
COD.
sustained.
Well, yeah, no, with Warzone and all that, Modern Warfare 2 will definitely 2 years. But yeah, COD's had a release every year since I think COD 3.
Wow.
So that as far as like the annual release goes, I think COD's probably one of the only games that can claim that, other than FIFA. And that's why you used to refer to people as COD and FIFA gamers. They were the casuals, weren't they? People who just played COD or FIFA.
And now a lot of us have turned into those filthy casuals. I'm looking at Peebs, who's listening live on Twitch.
I was thinking of Peebs too.
Oh, lols, Peebs.
Behave, isn't it?
Oh no, I'm only met, yeah. But I think there's one thing we didn't talk about last week was the Red Ring of Death to a degree. I don't really recall us really talking about it.
No, I've got a load of stuff written down, like basically the facts and what happened. But
oh, fantastic!
If you want to talk
about. Okay,
did you watch that documentary, the Xbox documentary they released about a year ago?
Yeah, the 3
they
parts.
Talked about how. Yeah, was it 6 parts? They talked about how the Red Ring of Death nearly like sunk Xbox.
Yeah,
that was a really good documentary.
It was, yeah, it was good.
Did anyone here experience the Red Ring of Death?
Yep.
Multiple times.
No. I only had the 2 rings of death, which is an overheat. But that's all I got.
I've had the
I'll tell you why, because your one, which is the one I got, and I think Switch, you got the Elite as well, didn't you? That was the first one of the original style Xbox that didn't happen because they obviously fixed it, and they had what they called the Jasper motherboard. So basically, if you had the black Elite version, you wouldn't get that. I mean, I think they just basically took the whole point of it having red rings to tell you it was broken. It still may break, but I think they took that out. But basically, because I've watched a lot about because I remember all the head of Xbox guys did an IGN interview a few years ago, which is actually really good. And he basically said that basically the solder which they had in the machines, due to EU laws and stuff, they had to remove the lead out of it and use like a synthetic alternative, which everyone was like, yeah, this is perfect, you don't need that anymore. But after constant heating and reheating, it lost its potency, basically turning the solder to water, which obviously that's not a good thing. And basically they saw all this coming in, and they were like, we need to find out what this is. But obviously they couldn't test heating it up and cooling it down, hundreds of times, in the testing lab, which, maybe they should have done. But so that's basically the main reason what it was. It's not really anyone's. I mean, everyone had the problem. Even PS3 had the same problem with a yellow light of death, exactly the same thing. But that's exactly. But obviously, because PS3 came out a year later in America and 18 months later in the rest of Europe and things like that, not as many models were affected because they were aware, in the final stage of process, and so not as many units, which is why, the first, what we call the George Foreman, the fat PS3, the ones that had the backwards compatibility built in, that's why they're really rare and expensive, because, well, one is that, but then you have to have the whole thing redone to fix it. So, I mean, I don't know if I'll say, like, with mine, I think it was about 2 and a bit years into having it, and I didn't even know anything about it. So then I was obviously Googling, trying to find up, wrapping it in a towel, because they said, if you wrap it in a towel, that'll fix it. I
used to know someone at work who used to fix people's PS360s by wrapping them in towels and stuff.
Yeah, and basically, I know you could basically they're called, I think there's a term called flash them, which will basically just bodge it for a little while, but in the long run, it still had it. But then I found out, which is really good, that Xbox did extend the warranty for 3 years because I'm not just knocking PlayStation, but they didn't do it with their yellow light. If you got the yellow light of death, tough shit. They did not care if that was after 12 months. But the fact that they extended it to 3 years and stuff like that, and not only that, I mean, I remember because Peter Moore was head at the time. And he said when he spoke to the bloke who was his boss, and he's like, "I'm gonna get fired," you know. And he's like, "Yeah, we have a problem," and he called it basically what they call a Tylenol problem, which the Americans will probably know. This is their sort of medication that they had over there, where they accidentally put cyanide in them.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Instead of, yeah.
How the hell
So
do
they
you
were
do
like,
that?
well, exactly. So he said, we have a Tylenol problem. If we do not fix this right now, Xbox is dead. We don't care. The brand is dead. We're finished. And he said, okay, what do we need to do? And he said, we need to extend the warranty to 3 years. We need to send everyone who has this problem a box, collect it, take it away, fix it, and post it back within a week, really quickly, because people have put faith in us. We had, the company's doing well, and like with anyone, you could be with a company for 20 years, have no problems. They piss you off once, you're done with them, aren't you?
Yeah,
that's how people's minds work. So he said, "Oh, how much is this going to cost us?" And he's like, $1.2 billion.
Fucking hell.
And apparently, another bloke, he just said, do it. Get it done. I don't care. Do it now. And it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And he just said, if he'd have said no, Xbox would have been dead. That was it. They'd stop selling them.
It's not necessarily just that. I think if it was their own company, they wouldn't have done that. But because Xbox is so tied into Microsoft, it would then look bad on Microsoft as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's obviously because you've got Xbox and then Microsoft own it. So he was head of Xbox, so he's obviously going to the next boss and things like that. But I mean, they did. I don't know if you guys are the same, because mine happened. Like I said, I didn't even know what the Red Ring was because I didn't look much online. I had magazines. It wasn't as big there as, because I think it was before social media really started to explode. So I think Facebook was 2007, and then Twitter maybe 2010, 11, stuff like that. So it wasn't as in your face. So I googled it, looked on a forum. Remember those forums?
Well, we had our own 360 Gamercast forum. It was great, full of cat pictures. Loved it.
Yeah, I remember. That was one of the first ones I ever went to back then. But yeah, so found out, googled it, and I was like, great. And then I think within a day, I think it was UPS or DPD, one of those. And I was sent me a box, put it in. They said, but take your hard drive out because we aren't promising we're going to send it back. But if you take it, then you'll clip it onto the fixed. So I don't know if they sent me a fixed one.
Removable hard drives is such a fantastic idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like I said, you clip them all in, and then they sent it back, and then it worked fine. Yeah. But then in my head, I was like, this is coming back. And then I found out, like I said, it said with the black one, which had the Jasper motherboard in it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they said, this one cannot red ring. So I'm like, okay. So I traded it in one time and got that. And I think I got a fairly good deal for it. But then I remember, if you guys remember, I had to get, I think I got it for free online, actually, very cheap. The hard drive cable where you could plug the new hard drive cable into the old one. The transfer cable. I think I found that the other day when I was tidying up. So that was fun because I plugged in. So I was like, "Where's all my stuff? Where's all my gamer score?"
Yeah.
And I was like, So then I started a new one, and I thought, "But where's all my games? Where's all my stuff?" And then I found that out and transfer. So I think there's a account out there somewhere which is in my name, which has got 10 gamer score on it. But I just think it's bad that happened, but it's really good how they reacted. And people still talk about it now, but I'll take everyone, apart from Elliot, you two both had the Red Ring then, yeah?
I had the Red Ring about 6 times.
No, but I meant, was it one console that keep getting it, or 6 individual consoles?
So I don't actually remember if they sent me new consoles or they just sent me the same one back. I actually cannot remember.
Yeah, I can. I don't. For how quick it was, I assume they sent me a new or a refurbed one that they had in stock, and just posting them out as quick as they could do them, and they were having new. But I think it was a brand new or a refurbed one, but
yeah, I mean, I mean, it was just so long ago, but all I remember was I kept on getting the Red Ring of Death on different consoles, and because obviously I was more addicted to gaming than I am now. I mean, I'm still addicted, but it was like an obsession back then. I had to. My brother had an Xbox 360 that he never used, so I kept on like going around his and borrowing his all the time. So at least I had a backup. But I do remember the turnaround being quite quick, and I remember having conversations with the DPD driver saying, "Oh my god, I've had loads of these today," and having a chuckle about it. But then I also remember going to gaming events, you know, like EGX or whatever, and there'd always be a few Xboxes, you know, in the stands, all like having the 3 red rings of death, and people just laughing. So you know, it was definitely a PR nightmare. Yeah. But obviously, I do think that they handled it well, as you say. But yeah, I experienced it, you know, quite a few times, which was frustrating.
I don't know if you did this, Webby, which I haven't since then, and I don't. I used to use my PS2 and then my 360 as a DVD player as well. So even if I wasn't playing the games, if I was watching movies and whatever and box sets, I would use them with a console. But after that, I don't use my console to watch movies anymore. I always have a dedicated separate player.
Yeah.
Because in my head, it's like, oh well, I haven't played that many games. Oh, but you've been watching Friends box sets non-stop for like 6 months. So yeah, that might have done it. But
yeah, I mean, for me, back there, up until the last year or so, I've used my console as my primary media device. But I've now gone to using an Amazon Fire Cube. Just because it uses less electric.
I still use my Series X as a 4K Blu-ray player.
I wouldn't do that though. The quality is actually pretty shocking. I've got a dedicated like Samsung and a Sony, and well, it depends how big your TV is.
When I get my own house and my own entertainment center, then I'll probably get a dedicated 4K Blu-ray player. But for now, Series X does the job.
Because I noticed when I had my Series X and put my Xbox One X into the living room, and I tried it on there, and I was like, yeah, the picture looks crap. But then because I'm used to having a really good picture, you know, in the living room, so I got like a 65-inch 4K TV and stuff like that, and you watch the blue. You know, I think that's the thing you get used to. Most people could just watch 4K content on Netflix and be happy, but once you get used to that level of clarity and sharpness and things like that, and the color, once you drop, then you notice it a lot more, don't you?
Well, the one thing I've noticed since going over to a FireCube for my streaming content is I think Netflix and Amazon and all that, the picture quality looks better on the FireCube than it does than streaming it through my Xbox, which is really
it's not
odd.
very good. It's not very good.
You were saying that the streaming through the Xbox looks better than the dedicated TV apps. I remember you saying that.
I mean, who uses a dedicated apps? I mean, they're shite, aren't they? Really?
I use them because
I
don't want to turn on my Xbox, but I can turn on Netflix with a button.
Well, it's really weird. Like there was some. I saw some statistic the other day that like something like only 1% of people's smart TVs actually use the smart apps.
Oh, I'm the 1%.
Yeah,
it's me.
It's rubbish, mate. I know everyone uses like YouTube and things like that on there.
But
it's
back
horrible,
in the
though.
But anyway, going to the streaming on the 360, I think we've lost some community stuff on that because I remember
the Netflix party chats.
Yeah, like I seem to remember on the 360 because like there was like a little cinema room where your avatars could sit and you could all watch TV shows together. And there was definitely you could do that on the Sky. This is sad, but the Sky News app. Because I remember like something serious happening. I can't remember what it was, but there was a load of us in party chat all watching the news together and talking about it, which you wouldn't get today. And then you could have the Netflix, group
probably 9/11
sessions and stuff.
I was gonna say I never had that experience because Netflix didn't come to Australia until 2012, 2013.
Wow.
So.
But there's something, that social aspect is something that I really do miss on the 360. Like the 360 definitely felt more social than the Xbox One particularly, but we'll get to that in another episode. But I don't know, like one of the things that I loved about the 360, I don't know about you guys, was the avatars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the cartoony style of the avatars was absolutely awesome, and they were pretty much front and center, and you could buy your outfits for them, which was pretty cool. And
do you remember the other feature? Do you remember the other thing about the avatars? They introduced it in maybe 2009. Avatar Awards. Now that was a fucking cool feature. That was like it was. Some of them were tied to achievements, and some of them were tied to just doing things in games. But if you did them, you could unlock like a hat for your avatar or a shirt. I'm pretty sure for Halo 4, you could get like a prop where it was the cryo tube. And
I've got a Halo, a little warthog, like a little car. My little man jumps into it, and he looks so happy.
I know Portal 2 had them. You could get like the companion cube and the portal gun. Yeah, I don't know why they got rid of that. That was a great feature.
They got rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, I suppose we all prefer. I mean, the avatars were cool, but I think we all loved the blades, didn't we?
Oh,
I never had the blades because I got on board right after the NXE had come out. I did see the blades. I played Xbox at a friend's house. You know, I saw the blades, but my first dashboard was the NXE.
I just think it's weird, and I think Switch will agree with me. It's like they just decided to change it every year for some reason, and some of it was good, some of it was bad, and then they got up to the Xbox One. Yeah. And they've now left it the same for years, even on the Series X and that consoles, and everyone hates it.
Well,
it just seems so boring. It just covered like adverts everywhere.
Do you remember the first iteration of the Xbox One dashboard? Because that was fucking bad. It was
just huge.
Everything
tiles.
was just squares, and you had to. Everything was in a menu. Everything brought up a new screen. Now at least you can sort of have overlays and stuff, and it's workable. The original Xbox One dashboard, probably the worst interface I've ever used.
It was really slow as well when it just moving around. It was like you press like right on the analog stick to go over, and you're like, my Xbox is broken. Oh, there it goes, it moves. And then, but you do that thing where you keep clicking
on the smart TV.
Yeah, and you click, but then you do that thing where you keep clicking because you think it's not working, and then it moves over, and then all of a sudden it jumps over about 10 pages.
I think the best dashboard we've had was probably the last 360, or one of the final 360 iterations. Like the avatars were there, but they made the tiles on the menu a bit smaller and cleaned it up a bit.
The one I remember was when you used to go into, my favourite one was when you used to go into party chat.
Yeah.
And all the parties were done isometrically. They went off into the distance, and you'd flew them.
And you'd see all the avatars standing together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. And they just kind of came across sideways.
Yeah.
And it lost that sort of like angle to it.
Do you remember if your friends were offline, their avatar would be having a little sleep?
Yeah.
I've still got my 360 hooked up now. I still use it quite a lot because obviously it's still. I mean, I suppose we go that they introduced the first ever backwards compatibility program where you could play the original or some original Xbox games. Did any of you guys use that a lot?
I did, and it bothers me that it wasn't all of them.
Yeah, it was because I mean they did it again with the next one, didn't they? As well.
Yeah.
I mean,
emulation.
I think we were all used to. That was one of the reasons I wasn't so keen on getting a 360 before PS3, because PS3 were like, yep, it's backwards compatible with PS1 and 2, completely just plug the disc in. I know they took it out after about a year, which annoyed me, and that's why I didn't get a PS3 until really recently. It's not. There's only a few games that I think anyone would care about if they never got made backwards compatibility. But I think they did all of the main ones, though, didn't they? Like the first parties and things like that. You know, all the Halos, the Forzas.
Yeah, they've stopped doing backwards compatibility on the One now.
That was last year because It's like I said, it's just licenses and things like that in it. I think the only way
it's not true backwards compatibility; it's emulation.
Oh yeah, I know, because they couldn't. I mean, the only way they got away or did it with PS2 is they actually put a PS1 inside the PS2.
Yeah,
they sold it, and if you looked in the instructions, but they said there's a PS1 in there, so they couldn't, anything to do with emulation, and obviously as it got more and more expensive and harder, they couldn't afford to put like a whole Xbox One into a 360, could they?
I had a bit of phase earlier this year, and I went and dug my PS2 out of my parents' attic and plugged it in. Bought a couple PS1 games. Had to buy a HDMI to SCART converter. Yeah, that was. But it was so nice because I know a little bit. It said that it could go up to 16:9, but I tell you, the stretch picture doesn't do those old games favors.
No.
Some of them just look better in 4:3 as they were intended anyway.
It's a weird thing. Like if you look at a lot of the older games, they only look good. Like a lot of retro gamers who play retro games, they play them on CRT TVs because that's what they were built for. And if you stick them on a HD TV, you lose something. It just doesn't look right.
Yeah. I mean, I do that a lot for my streams, don't I? I'm like Dreamcast and things like that. PS2 is probably the worst and hardest picture to get anything good out of. But some of it works.
The N64 is actually the worst picture.
Yeah,
it doesn't even work properly through SCART. It's kind of blurred and weird.
Yeah, I haven't even attempted, so I know how bad. I'm just saying the worst one I've tried to use is PS2. But yeah, I mean, I've got my mate brought his old his CRT V up when he came to see me last month. In September, and we were playing like GoldenEye on like a little 20-inch portable TV, which we had so much fun playing that. That was more fun. I mean, I've got a huge 65-inch TV, all the latest consoles, and we're sitting there playing like couch co-op split screen GoldenEye and having more fun. But
yeah, Elliot, me of my old Neo Geo dealer. I know that sounds weird, but he used to back in the day, used to mail all the games and stuff, and the people that had import them would usually live off in houses, and if you knew the person, you could go there and pick them up in person. And I remember we went round there once to pick up like a couple of Neo games, me and my mate, and walked in the guy's bedroom, and he had all these Neo Geo games stacked up, which is quite a lot, obviously, because they're a fair size. And then we looked over at his telly and we were disgusted to see he used to play Game Boy Advance games for a Super Nintendo adapter.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on YouTube recently. Yeah,
that's quite cool, isn't it?
You dock it in and then it displays the picture. Kind of like that PlayStation TV that works with the Vita.
Just sit there and be like, mate, you've literally got arcade machines stacked up in your bedroom here, and you're playing a fucking Game Boy Advance for an adapter.
I was going to say, we were talking about the red ring and the build quality and so forth. Obviously, they dealt with the build quality issues because from my model of 360 onwards, the Elite, the black one, they got rid of the red ring. But just to speak to a testament to it, 2-3 years later, I got the Slim, the 250 gig model.
I've got that. I wasn't going to ask you that.
Both of them still work.
Yeah, both of them still working right now. I'll turn it on. Maybe
I like my original Elite.
I've still got mine. Mine's at my parents' house. My dad still boots it up every now and then.
I think it was the hard drive I wanted. Plus, it was obviously a lot smaller and faster.
I'm trying to remember why I upgraded to the Slim one, and I think it was double the hard drive space because you went from 120 gig to 250.
And I think it was. I thought mine was a 60.
Oh, and it had built-in Wi-Fi, which meant you didn't.
Yeah, that was the one as well.
The dongle thing. You remember the dongle? You had to clip it into the two hooks at the back.
Yeah,
I had one of those.
See, like this is how much the one console changed, because I did. We moaned about the last. Oh my god, my game's just gone really weird. I'm playing COD at the moment, and it's just gone really odd.
Playing COD? Oh, I'm not playing COD at the moment.
I'm not playing COD either.
I'm playing COD because
I'm really not playing COD, but I was thinking about playing COD.
What was I saying? Yeah, so the Xbox 360 went through quite a lot of iterations. You know, you think a lot of the Xbox One just had like a few. But the Xbox 360, you know, I was saying in the last episode that when I got my original Xbox 360, it didn't have a HDMI port because TVs didn't have HDMI ports then. You know, it was your SCART lead or your colors, you know, your red, yellow, and white. Yeah, and then they did an iteration with the HDMI, and then they did the iteration with the bit of Wi-Fi, and then they changed the shape of them. So I think I owned about 5 different versions of the Xbox 360 over the years as well.
Yeah, I had 3.
The Elite, the black one, that was the first one with the HDMI port. So mine had HDMI. And everyone after that, the Slims. I think they did a 320 gig Slim by the end.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think your one, Elliot, that had the HDMI port, but you could also plug the other one in. But whereas I think the Slim ones we got in the end, you couldn't even plug the SCART cable. They got rid of it completely.
Because I remember the adapter is a big, thick thing.
Yeah,
and it split out, and you had to like connect the head to the rest of the cable. You could either have it do the colored cables, or you could do the HDMI. But it was a big thing. It took up like a third of the space on the back of the console.
Yeah, it's a big one.
God, yeah. Good build quality on those things though, because I've still got my Elite and I've still got my Slim, and both work.
Yeah, they learned their lesson, didn't they?
Can't say the same for my brother's like Pro or Arcade or whatever one he got, the white one. that one crapped out. Yeah, well.
Maybe you should ring Microsoft. They might still fix them. You never know. They won't, but
nah, it was definitely user error. He doesn't treat his stuff very well. The amount of controllers he's broken.
Who's that?
My brother.
Oh.
I had to hide my controllers because he would break his and then go, "Oh, I broke my controller. The stick's stuck. Can I borrow yours?" I'm like, "No, you can't."
What controllers did you have? Did you just have like the standard ones, or did you buy extra? Just had all different colors and stuff.
I had a red one, which I was very proud of. I liked the red one. I had a friend who bought he bought the faceplates for him, and he popped the faceplates off. He had one that was like Halo 3, and it was like a red team and a blue team on a battlefield, and then the one team was in the Warthog, and the other was holding the flag on a hill.
Oh, nice.
That was a very cool. Like, yeah, he just like popped the face. I didn't even think you had to pop the faceplate off. I think you could just slot it over the.
I think it just clips over the top. Yeah, because everyone remember the faceplates for the consoles. But I think they did it for the controllers as well.
I did get something quite cool for the Slim one year. I didn't get a faceplate. I don't know how you describe it. I got a console mount.
Was it a skin?
It had a kind of like a skin, but also not quite. It was you docked it in, and it had a USB port on the back, or a USB cable, and you powered it up.
Controllers and stuff.
No. It had lights on the side, and it had the Gears of War logo, the skull. I'll get a picture of it, but yeah, it was basically like 2 faceplates for the side, and like a kickstand, and you like docked it into it, and you plugged it in the back, and then the USB it powered the lights on it, and it also made sounds when you did the disc tray. Because I got the Slim Xbox 1 year, and I wanted the Gears of War 3 Xbox, but they didn't have any, and they were like, "Look, we're probably not getting them back in; they're gone. But we have this thing, and you can just put your regular Xbox in it, and it still looks like Gears of War." And I was like, "Okay, that's a pretty cool thing. I'm gonna get it up now because I've not described it well enough, but
sounds familiar though. I think I may have seen something in a magazine.
I'll find a picture of it. It was very cool. It wasn't a faceplate. It was like a whole console.
Yeah, they used to sell sort of like extra cooling fans and stuff that you could put onto the back of the system as well, couldn't you, to cool it down better?
Yeah. It was this thing. Want to see if I can get a picture on the side of it, but. It had a headset rack as well, which was cool. So you could hang your headphones on it. I've just shared some pictures in the podcast chat. That's I'll share one with it lit up. So yeah, you'll see it like docks into it, and then it's got the skull on the side. The Crimson Omen, that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah,
that was my kind of custom. That was my kind of customization.
Oh wow, bloody hell!
You never seen that before?
I have seen
No.
them before. I remember seeing it in a magazine and wanted one, but couldn't find one anywhere.
Well, I wanted the Gears of War 3 Xbox, and they didn't have any, so that's what I got
Yeah.
instead.
That's
And
Made
it
a
was
Lancer
pretty good
sound when
anyway.
you turned it on.
I know, I wanted it.
Yeah. I still want it now, but they're either all
I've seen
smashed
them
to
in the
pieces
shop.
or expensive.
I've seen them around. I've seen the odd one at the old second-hand shop, and I've thought
I
about
imagine
it. Just like
someone
that
out
Star
there's
Wars
got
Xbox.
got loads of the different themed ones, like the Halo one, etc. All
Oh,
Halo
there was a
one was
Modern
nice
Warfare
'cause
3
the-
one.
was it the Halo one that had a gold or bronze styled detachable hard drive?
Maybe
it was like that green and goldish colour, wasn't it?
there was. I'm trying to rattle off some of the ones I remember.
The Star Wars one where it was R2D2 and the controller was
the controller
3PO.
was C3PO. Yeah, I remember the Modern Warfare 3 one. It was like grey camo. That was a kind of cool looking one.
Yeah, I wanted that. Because I was trying to buy all the controllers. Because
yeah.
What was it in the Facebook group? I think it was
Hogarth.
Nigel Arnold. Yeah, was it Hogarth or not? Well, there's a couple of them.
Yeah, he's got
constant. Had all those controllers. I was like, I want them all.
Yeah.
Because there's a few people who were collecting controllers. I was like, ooh.
I made it a point last year when those Xbox 20th anniversary controllers came out. I made it a point to get one of them. I was like, these aren't coming around again. I better get one. What I regret not getting was the limited edition prints of the Duke they did out.
Yeah, I wanted one of those, and now they're gone.
You can still get them places, but they're pricey. They did a Halo one, which had Cortana on the boots. It had a little screen in it, and it had Cortana on the boot. And then there's one that just has the Xbox logo. But that's alright.
Pretty cool. Did anyone? I don't know if I think this might be in a Switch. Did anyone get the HD DVD adapter?
No.
Oh, I was going to talk about this.
No.
I didn't get one, but I always really wanted one.
Yeah, I did. I'm glad I didn't in the end because it failed like hell. Even though I think a lot of people said that the picture quality was better on HD DVD than Blu-ray. Plus, in my head, I thought, well, obviously HD DVD is going to win because it is what it says it is, and Blu-ray sounded stupid, and obviously I was wrong, which, you know.
You know why
it was a thing until several years later.
Well, there's the one people always go to is porn, don't they?
Yeah, porn, yeah.
Because Blu-ray had loads of porn, and they were like, yep, we're having that. And the HD DVD didn't. But, you know, it is what it is.
I still see the HD DVD films for sale in places like CEX.
Yeah, because they're good. But the weird thing is, though, Microsoft, not Xbox. I mean, people say it's the same thing, but it's not. Well, kind of it. But they actually own shares in Blu-ray as well. So it was weird that they went with HD DVD, though.
A lot of companies will do that, though. They'll basically spread their fingers into a few pots. So whichever one wins out, they still cash in.
Because I think HD DVD was Toshiba. I want to say it was Toshiba, like the main company, because obviously Sony, even though they had loads of companies, but Sony was Blu-ray, and I think it was Toshiba that went with HD DVD, and I don't think they've ever recovered, really, because now they sell crap TVs in Argos, like Bush and Alba.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it was just one of those weird add-ons.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like at the time I thought, oh, this might do really, really well. I never bought it, and then obviously Blu-ray took over because Sony included it within their system. So,
yeah, I mean, well, speaking of the add-ons, like this was the console generation for like all of the different little random custom controllers for things like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, DJ Hero. You don't really get that anymore.
Oh,
No,
who
you
was the
started
big
getting
one?
it at the
Who
end
made,
of. Sorry, go.
sorry, who made all the game pads? Who was it? Oh, what was the big?
Mad
Was it
Cats.
Mad Cats? Mad Cat.
Yeah.
I had a Mad Cats.
They had
nice.
such a shite reputation in the console generations before. Like, we used to grumble if you got given the Mad Cats controller when you were like round a mate's house and you was doing some 4 or 8 player games on like Saturn or something.
I'm a first party man through and through now.
Just talking to controllers and consoles, like with the 360, I had the last one I bought, and I still actually got in the loft, is the Halo 4 one, and it makes the sounds when you open and close the disc tray and turn it on.
Is that the one that's like grey and blue?
It's like blue, yeah.
Yeah, I know the one. I wish I'd have got that one.
But I still think some of the best controllers I've had, because obviously the 360 controller feels great anyway, and the thumbsticks are nice and have nice resistance. But you could twist the D-pad on it as well.
Yeah, that was later ones.
I've
got one of those because I've got my blue Chrome one, which is, I had to fix it, but because the battery packs were a bit shit on the back, which it's like, I mean, I've had so many arguments on the Facebook about well, why put batteries in? Just have a rechargeable battery. I was like, because the PS3 battery was shit.
Yeah.
And it lasted 10 minutes. And whereas the 360, you could buy a battery pack and have something like that, or you could just plug batteries in. Just go ask your mum; she'll definitely have some batteries for on the go. And but yeah, I remember I used to get some rechargeable ones, and you'd get like 80, 100 hours out of one charge. It just go on forever. I remember I beat GTA 5 on one charge of batteries, and that was about 80 hours.
You know what? The thing that broke in my house was left bumper and right bumper on most controllers. Mostly because my brother was fucking. My brother fucking smashed them. I managed to never break a controller somehow, and I played a lot of Call of Duty.
Yeah,
if you dropped them, they'd always hit them bumpers, and you're like,
that explains a lot. That
explains
a lot.
I think it was because obviously they're weighted at the back, so it starts to fall backwards. So it's generally going to end up on its top as it hits the deck. But yeah, I broke so many LBs and RBs on 360 controllers.
The thing is, I like having the removable batteries, because in years to come, if you want to be a retro gamer in years to come, well, those controllers with the inbuilt batteries are going to be fucked anyway. But it's just
hardwire them.
But I've like all you got to do, like what I've done, you can either buy those packs, which I think are quite shit as well. Like I just buy some decent.
I've had a dud one lately.
Yeah,
doesn't hold a charge.
Yeah,
those Venom packs are fucking crap.
Even the official ones are not very good.
Yeah,
I had an official. I think
that's what
I used to remember. Like, I think this went into Xbox One and PS4 days. That usually the Xbox controller was about 15 quid cheaper than the PS4. But then if you wanted the pack, it was another 15 quid. Yeah. So but they were just, like I said. But once the inbuilt battery is gone, the controller's had it in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I just buy like decent rechargeables. I've got decent rechargeables and obviously a charger, and they're going to last ages, and they're fucking awesome, man. Awesome.
I did just want to mention, because I mentioned my Gears of War Xbox cover thing that you've all seen now. I did have a very nice headset to pair with that for a good while as well. I had a pair of Triton 7.1 surround sounds with its own mix amp, and they were Gears of War themed. So they had the Crimson Omens on the ear cups, and they glowed. Oh god, I was living my best life when I had those. I had my Gears of War Xbox, and I had my Gears of War headset. Oh, just they don't make cool shit like that anymore. I mean, they did some for like Razer did like a Halo Infinite headset, and it's just like green. There's no effort in it. They don't put effort into that kind of
just
shit.
Like the game.
No effort in it. And then you put Gears of War 3 up against Halo Infinite. It's not even a competition, is it?
Well, I think me and you, Webby, we've had this conversation before about the batteries, because like I said, you put two AA's in and they're like 2,300 milliamps each. Yeah. Whereas the PS3 was just 500. So you'd
Right.
get like over 4.5 times the amount of battery power in an Xbox than you would in a PlayStation controller.
It's like mobile phones, isn't they? They started doing it with those.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, like after a while, the charge doesn't hold, and your phone lasts like half a day in charge.
Yep.
You'd just be like, "That's all right. I'll go out and buy a new battery." And then the
Yep.
phone companies were like, "No,
Nope.
we'd rather you bought a whole new phone, actually, because you can't remove the batteries anymore."
Yeah, a lot of them. I think most of them now
decisions.
you can't.
There's,
I think you can some Apple, but obviously that's something you have to pay someone to go in and dismantle your phone. When you could just like slide the back off and just pop a new battery in, that cost you a tenner, and that would cost you like probably about 100 quid for a new battery.
There's this company that started doing something quite interesting with laptops. Usually, laptops are very notoriously difficult for being able to customize or being able to like pull parts out and replace things. Now they're doing it where it's just like you can clip the components in together and like a puzzle, and then and you can just upgrade it whenever you want.
Nice.
It's like building your own PC, but it's a laptop, and it's.
Is it like Alienware or some big brand?
Nah, it's not. It's some like new upstarter company. But I just think it's kind of cool how they like trust the consumer to like do things. Whereas I mean, well, PS5 does that. You can crack the side open and put an SSD in it. The Xbox, it's a closed system. The only thing you can do is put the memory card in the back.
That's
I don't know
still
what's
sweet
better.
though.
I like those memory cards.
I prefer the memory cards. They just pop in the
back.
back.
I will say, popping the PS5 open and getting the right screwdriver and putting the drive in was like a hassle. And if it ever breaks and I have to like replace it, I'll have to like undo it all again. You get some sort of satisfaction when you like do it yourself, but also it's like
I just don't like popping the covers off.
No, you feel like you're going to snap it in half, don't you?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel.
I'm pretty sure Phil Spencer, like a year or two ago, said he would rather do that, and they're working on that in the future. That rather than have, Pro or X versions of these consoles, he'd much rather sell us like internals, and we could just plug it in and plug it out.
You know, the first console that did that I can think of. N64.
Well, the
expansion pack on the front.
Yeah.
What was the bit at the bottom as well?
A bit of power out of it.
You couldn't play Donkey Kong 64 with
No, not over here.
That was a double D, wasn't it?
Didn't it?
It was a disc drive thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was 64 DD, and we all love a DD, don't we?
Yeah, that's it.
I love a pair of DDs.
Yeah.
Silence.
We've spent an hour talking about the hardware of the console, and we haven't talked about a single fucking game. Not a single game.
On that note, then, let's get into the games then, and do not repeat games from last week.
Yep, I remember most of the ones that we talked about last week. I have tried to avoid writing them down.
Good man.
Yep.
Who wants to start then? How about you, Sly? Why don't you start?
Why don't Nick go first? To go in the order.
I don't mind.
All right, I'll start first. I mean, this came out because I mean, there's so many of these games that have been ported and remastered. It's shocking, but that's just how good the games were. I remember getting this on the day it came out, and it came out the exact same day as Red Dead Redemption in 2010. So it didn't sell well, and I managed to get, and I'm holding it right now in my hand.
I know what game it is based on the release date.
I know you do. The big limited edition, which comes in a giant box of a book.
Yeah, I know the game.
Alan Wake, baby.
Yeah, best game ever.
Love this game.
Alan Wake.
And I don't know why. I just saw sometimes, you just see trailers and videos for things. Because I think by then I was like, more into like YouTube was a thing, and like it was getting to us, and we were watching, like E3s and stuff by then. Like they were streaming them, and you could watch them live and things like that. And I saw that, and I remember that was like 20 quid. So I was like, wow, it's basically giving it away. So I don't think it's sold in a long time. I think it's sold, over a period of time, it sold pretty well. But I think Red Dead Redemption just crushed it because it's probably not the best game to bring it out against. But
yeah,
like I said, just loved the game. Obviously, because I'm big on Resident Evils and Silent Hills, like survival horror type games. I thought, we haven't had nothing like this for a while. So just got that and just played it, loved it. You know,
What a
because it's
game.
got like that Twin Peaks kind of vibe as well. Oh, excuse me, and obviously all the music and stuff like that. I think, like I said, not many games I finish, and then I was like, "Yep, going to play through that whole game again, just because I wanted to." Nothing to do with.
Did you finish the game, Nick? And you were like, "Wow, I can't wait for Alan Wake 2." And
Yeah.
oh, it's out next year. It's coming.
Oh,
2023.
It'll get delayed. Again.
No, they said this week. They said this week it's on track, ready to release next year. They said this week it's still
Awesome.
going strong.
It's like I'm
Oh.
older than you, bud. Don't listen to him.
I
Don't
know.
ever listen to him
I know.
until it's gone gold 3 weeks before, and they put out on, which basically means it's finished. They're print. Well, I say printing the discs because that don't mean nothing anymore because only putting 70 meg on them. But until it's like within a month of coming out, I don't trust them. I know, like what's it? The Crisis Core remake, Webby, is supposed to be out in December. The 12th of December.
Yeah.
So basically, within the next 2 weeks, I'm waiting for them to cancel it or delay it. I'm waiting for them because they're going to finish that game within the next week or two. Because it's usually between a month and 3 weeks. So they've got to print the discs and the packaging and send it out. So it has to be finished. So if we don't find out in the next 2 weeks that it's been delayed, it's coming out. I mean, it'll probably be buggy and broken as hell and need updates and nothing will work. So that's probably why they don't care as much. But
to be honest, I don't actually ever hear of many games from overseas apart from the US going gold, which is their announcement that it's a fully finished product and it's off.
It means it's ready for printing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say I remember that collector's edition because I had it. I think I still have it. Maybe
I've still got that.
I hope I do. But I remember it came with the soundtrack, and it came with a book, and it was like written from the perspective of the detective, or is it? No, it's written from the perspective of a writer who comes to town to investigate, and he interviews all the different characters in the story, and it's like his journal of accounts. I read that book.
It was really good.
Yes,
it was so good.
The Alan Wake files compiled by Brian Stewart. There's just loads. Yep, and there's just I've read it through like once. All right, I looked at the pictures and smelled it because I'm a weird person, and obviously the discs. I think there's a soundtrack as well, obviously.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack, how cool is this? They've printed the soundtrack on a compact disc. It's not a digital download code, so it hooks to your console. So it's like,
I will say,
why would I listen to a soundtrack on a console?
When I bought Alan Wake on Steam a few years later to replay it, I will say playing the soundtrack through Steam was nowhere near quite the same as putting the disc in the 360. Just going back to hardware and software a little bit. Remember when you put in the discs that it did that trippy like music stuff where it had all like the light beams and stuff? In the music player on the 360.
Oh yeah, vaguely remember that. Yeah.
You like put it in and it had like the light pulsed and there was different colors on the screen. Oh, I used to play my bloody soundtrack.
My favourite was when you put a 360 game into the console and it'd bring up that screen that tells you to put the game in a 360 console.
Oh yeah.
I saw that screen.
Yeah, Alan Wake. Just talk about Alan Wake quickly as well. I mean, I was obsessed with that game. So little story, like I remember. Because as you say, it came out the same day as Red Dead Redemption. So I went to game at opening time, 9 o'clock in the morning. I was a regular customer there, funnily enough. And I turned up there and I was like, I want a copy of the collector's edition of Alan Wake, please. And the dude was like, you're not getting Red Dead Redemption. I was like, no, I want Alan Wake. And he just gave me this really funny look. Yeah, I just remember that. And then I got really obsessed with Alan Wake. I loved the game, and then they released a couple of books about it as well, and I read both the books, which are really good, or like little stories within the world of Alan Wake. So I was really.
I remember how I got into Alan Wake. I was a Red Dead Redemption on launch player, and a couple weeks after the game Alan Wake came out, you were on the podcast and you were like, "Oh my god, Alan Wake's amazing! I just finished it, it's so good." And I was like, "Okay." My purchasing habits are mostly just influenced by Webby anyway. I'll go buy it. And then I went and bought it. And I was right. I mean, it was a good choice. You were spot on with that review. I mean, not all your reviews are spot on, but no, they're not. But the way you talked about Alan Wake on that particular episode, you were like, "It's one of the best games I've ever played. The writing is fantastic," and I was a sucker for story in games. I loved story in games. I know some people don't like stories in games. Some people just want to shoot things or just want to run around, and they don't care about having a narrative. But I think the best games are the ones that really put attention into their craft and in their writing. And
Like
Alan
Mass
Wake is one of
Effect.
those games.
Yeah.
I Mass Effect. That's why I love Mass
Yeah.
Effect and
Yeah.
Fallout.
Yeah.
Alan Wake, fantastic. American Nightmare, it's okay. It's not as good. It's better than some things that have come out. Still, it's not the worst thing ever made. Like Quantum Break, Control, they just don't hold a candle to Alan Wake.
No. They also
When
put a little
they
bit
announced
of
Alan
Alan
Wake
Wake
2, very excited.
DLC. I was going to say, did you play the Alan Wake DLC they had in Control?
I haven't. I will play it. I beat Control a couple months ago, and I didn't love Control. I know some people do. I didn't love Control, so I needed a break from it before I play the Alan Wake stuff.
Yeah, it was so close to being a really good game. Like that the few choices they made kind of spoiled it, but it's what it is.
I think in terms of my rankings, it's Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and then Control. I love how they're all interconnected, and I really kind of want to see how that pans out in Alan Wake 2. I mean, Control and Alan Wake are very obviously connected, but in Quantum Break, there's stuff on like the chalkboards in the classrooms and stuff that's like a Wake and stuff. So I like that whole like interconnected like.
That is cool. Yeah.
I think Control there was too much text and not enough in-game story. Whereas Alan Wake, they had all the books and the things you could read, but they also told a lot through the game and voice acting. Whereas Control,
I like those manuscripts.
Yeah,
I really and you remember the Night Springs show, the Twilight Zone parody on those TVs.
Yeah.
I used to stop and try and find as many of those as I could, and I would stand there and I'd watch them, and they were like 3 minutes a piece. And I'd watch
awesome,
I just wanted more lore out of that game. I wanted all the story I could find.
Yeah.
And now we're getting a sequel. Finally, after 13 years, we're getting a sequel.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Well, let's move on to another game, because otherwise we're gonna have to do a part 3 at this rate.
I mean, it's if any console deserves a part 3, it's probably the 360.
Oh yeah.
Is it me then? I'll go. So I'm gonna do a cheeky. Mine's 2 in 1. I've put a slash between them. It's Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Both of them. Obviously, I played Fallout 3 first. I remember the day I bought it. I remember being in the back of the car reading the manual. I remember how excited I was because I had heard Fallout 3 was this fantastic game from this little podcast called 360 Gamercast. Once again, influencing all my purchasing decisions.
Never heard of it.
I listened to. It was Webby and Carl. I remember Webby and Carl did a Fallout special, and they were talking about all the quests, and I didn't really care if I got spoiled on certain things. They tried not to spoil the main story, which I appreciated, but they were talking all about the side quests and how you could go to this like town, and there was this like talking tree, and I was like, I don't know what this game is, but it sounds cool as fuck. So I got it, and then I'm in the game. I'm like, why am I a baby? And then I'm like, have you lied to me? Is this some fucking like classroom growth simulator where you just like go through life as an infant? And is it? And then I get outside and you see the sun hit you, and you see Megaton in the distance, and I was like, oh, it's the post-apocalyptic game. Okay, I was trying to get that context. Had never played the original Fallouts on the PC. Too young for that. And I've tried playing them now, and they're rough to play.
I still think though that Fallout 3 is the best Fallout game.
Ooh, and I'm about to say the opposite, and I'm about to tell
you with you,
better, but I'm not there yet. New Vegas. And here's the thing: they're both fantastic games, and there's a reason I'm talking to talk about both. Because ultimately, Fallout New Vegas was built in 18 months upon the Fallout 3 engine, and if they'd been given more time. I think New Vegas was like 90% as good as it could have been. And I think if they were given more time and budget, it would have been even better than it was. But the fact that they produced one of the best games of the 360 generation in 18 months, think of what they could have done if they had 36 months to make it.
Yeah,
Think about what, So that's why New Vegas is my favorite, because they did a lot with not a lot. Fallout 3, though, just the writing, they made you really give a shit about finding your dad, and then when they like rip him away from you at the end of the game, you really feel that. And Liam Neeson, fantastic voice acting. Just that feeling of, I guess, discovery, and just like, guides weren't as well written back then as well. So if you needed to find shit, it more so came down to talking to someone you knew who'd played it, or just discovering shit for yourself. Like, there are probably still places in Fallout 3 I've not set foot in, because the map was very big.
Dave.
Oh, I love the Republic of Dave. You could like overthrow his presidency. That was great. Finding all the Nuka-Cola quantums and blowing up Megaton or not.
Yeah.
First playthrough, I defused it, but then I made a save game and I went and saw what happens if you blow it up, and you get that cool sweet and 10-penny tower. And I think it speaks a lot to Fallout 3 that it came out 14 years ago and people are still talking about how good of a game it was.
Yeah, and it had some really good DLC as well.
I'm
Oh,
holding
it did.
Webby because I've got the discs in my hand because I
Yeah.
didn't have online for ages because, let's say I've got the lunchbox edition of Fallout 3,
Yeah,
which
got
is
it
quite
sitting
rare.
right in front of me. I
Yeah.
bought it
Nice.
this year because I never got one because I got Fallout 3 a little after launch, so couldn't get a collector's edition. Bought one off of
25 quid
eBay
that
this year.
costs. How
Bought
much
one
do you
off of
pay?
eBay. I'm holding it. Probably about the equivalent of about £60.
Ooh,
Um,
I mean, I
But hey,
remember
I'm
this
holding my
because
Fallout 3 collector's edition right now.
yep, I got that. But I
You put
remember
some
because
Only the
photos on the
bobblehead
Discord.
in that as well.
yeah, the bobblehead and loads of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember because can you remember, Webby? This was right in the middle of Game versus Game Station, like Christmas Wars, where they were doing a weekly game for 20 quid.
This was
So
before
we would-
Game bought them out.
Yeah, before Game
Yeah,
bought them out.
yeah.
But I remember because one week, like Mass Effect was 20 quid at Game, but then Fallout was 20 quid at Game Station. I remember it was like my mum was like, "Oh, Christmas is going. Oh, do you want me to get you something? I'll get you a game." I said, "Well, I want this one. I want Fallout. That looks good." Because I remember seeing an advert for it on the telly. You know, what was it? The ink spots. I don't want to set the world on fire. I was like, "Oh, I want that." Because I like an advert and some music. And she came back. She's like, "Oh, I got this one for you." And I remember opening at Christmas. I was like, "What's this?" She's like, "Oh, well, they had this one which was more money, so it's better. So I bought you that one." I was like, "Oh, Mum, you understand me."
Yeah.
You know, but
Um,
yeah, I bought the DLC add-on because I think there was 4. And there was Broken Steel,
Broken
Point
Steel,
Lookout,
Point Lookout,
Point Lookout was
the
great.
Pit,
Pit,
and Operation Anchorage. Yeah.
Mothership Zeta. There was 5.
Oh,
but I've only
yeah.
There's only 4 on this. I don't know if they brought that one out on
I was
disc.
going to
but
tell you, I remember how I got the expansions on Fallout 3. I didn't buy them off of the Xbox Marketplace for Microsoft points. I bought expansion discs from the shop, and they came with the 2 DLCs on them. You pop them in your tray, and then it did like a file extract and installed them direct to your hard drive.
Oh, the days, the glory days.
And the best bit is you didn't need to put them in to verify or anything as well. So as soon as I put them in and installed them, I took them back.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I know. Pain in the ass later when I like changed consoles and they got uninstalled or whatever. But at that point, it was cheap, and I just bought the Game of the Year edition with all of it anyway. But yeah, that was Fallout 3. My start of my descent into Bethesda games, because I think they were probably my first Bethesda games, and then it just kind of spiraled on from there. New Vegas. Look, I could sit and talk about New Vegas all day. If you've listened to me on any capacity in any other show, you know how I feel about New Vegas. It just takes everything from 3 and does it better. Some people like the setting and the dystopia of 3 more. They don't like the kind of the desert and the
I don't know. I
established
found
Vegas
3
and stuff.
to be quite
3's
depressing
bleak.
compared
It
to
is
4.
bleak.
Yeah. Sorry, New Vegas, I believe.
New Vegas. I like how there's a lot of story there to be told, and from what I've learned as well, there's a lot of it ties into Fallout 1 and 2 and the events that happen there. Fallout 3 doesn't really tie into the old ones. Fallout 3 is kind of its own self-contained thing. There's the odd character that was in Fallout 2 that makes it into 3. But New Vegas, they seem very dedicated to like using the NCR and like the whole lore behind like the established settlements that first came out after the war. I think the first 2 Fallouts were like about 100 years, or like 80 to 100 years after the bombs dropped, and Fallout 3, 4, and Vegas, they're all set within about 10 years of each other, but they're all like 200 and something years after the war. So they're a bit further on. So they get to kind of run with these things that were established in the first 2 Fallouts, like civilizations or cities getting built, and then they get to kind of jump forward and be like, yes, look, they became the NCR, who were this massive faction trying to like control the whole East Coast or whatever, West Coast. So I think Fallout New Vegas, and it's because it was made by Obsidian, who of course, well, they're very good at what they do. And I just think they were. I don't know if anyone ever heard the infamous story about New Vegas where it scored 1 Metacritic point too low for the developers to get their bonus.
Yeah,
Ouch.
And that
didn't it
that
get
was
like a
quite gross.
7.9 on average? So it like
I think it needed an 80. I think it needed an 85 Metacritic, and it got an 84.
Yes,
Oh,
on
that's
average.
ridiculous, isn't it?
Was that to do with like it was apparently quite
It was
buggy
buggy at
for a
launch,
lot of
yeah.
people?
It was. And I played it on the. So as far as the versions I heard in terms of quality, I heard the PC version was the best one. Then the 360 and the PS3 was very shit. And if you played New Vegas on a PS3, I'm so sorry.
Was pretty bad, yeah. Like
yeah.
Skyrim as well was pretty horrific on the PS3.
I'd say Vegas's expansions were very good. It had your typical story ones. It had Lonesome Road. It had Old World Blues. Dead Money. We'll never speak of it again. Fuck Dead Money.
And Johnny Guitar in the soundtrack, which is
that was a
superb.
good one. I'm trying to remember the other one now. Lonesome Road. Oh, Honest Hearts. And then it also had a couple little ones like Gun Runner's Arsenal, which expanded the guns in the game, which was kind of cool. So you had more weapons that you could buy. But man, the amount of side quests and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say the things that made New Vegas stick out for me over 3 was it was more open in what you could do. The quest structures, you could side with different factions, which led down different storylines.
Well, I like that they got rid of the good and bad karma, and they just made it so like it was reputation based rather than like morality based. I preferred that.
The way you could put attachments on your weapons was bloody tastic, like putting a scope on a varmint rifle and stuff, and pretty much riding that out for most of the game because it was pretty awesome. And survival mode, which I played the game from start to end in.
I beat hardcore mode.
It's hardcore mode or whatever it was, the one where you have to sleep regularly and eat and drink and stuff. It just added so much more to the experience.
I replay New Vegas about once every other year. I can't not play on hardcore mode now. I have to play hardcore mode because I don't get a challenge if I don't play hardcore mode. I need the challenge because I know how to play Vegas too well, and I know like what skills to spec into and what guns to take and what perks to take at certain levels to make myself a tank by level 15.
Added immersion as well. Like you'd be going across the desert and then the sun starts going down and you can see you're tired and then you're literally like, right, I need to look for a bed or somewhere to sleep.
I liked how you could the quests. I mean, in 3 they had the side quests with multiple resolutions, but I think in Vegas they amped that up, and there were so many different outcomes for quests.
And it made sense as well for a lot of your perks, like Iron Belly and all of that kind of stuff. It really comes into effect when you're in like hardcore because you have to eat and drink a lot.
I'll always remember the Good Springs side quest where you either helped Ringo escape the Powder Gangers or you joined the Powder Gangers and you murdered the entire town of Good Springs. The game was like you weren't this kind of important figure or anything. You didn't have this destiny. You were just literally like some courier who got shot. It was a revenge quest, and then you got thrown into like a multi-faction war. But it wasn't like you are the champion of light, or you are the chosen vault dweller, or anything like that. It was like, now you're some guy, you have a goal, you have an agenda, and then later on, you kind of get forced to make choices. Or you don't have to at all. You could ignore the main quest.
Getting to Vegas was awesome as well.
Oh, the feeling when you get to Vegas and you see the lights, and you're like, wow, this is like the most civilization I've seen in this game. Everything else has just been shanties and, people shooting at me. And this is like civilized and nice. And I wouldn't mind visiting here. And like 3 didn't have that at all. Like 3 had the biggest settlement in 3 was Rivet City, and it was just on a boat, and it was like dingy, and there was like Christmas lights. So to see something lit up and bright and colorful and with like people around and just people just drinking and stuff, and it was not a combat zone. It was very cool to see what life could be like. If people didn't devolve into shooting each other like most of the Wasteland did.
I feel I spent so much time in Fallout 3 going through like undergrounds and caves.
Oh, the tunnels were fucking unbearable. The metro tunnels were the worst.
Yeah, you'd need to take them to actually get to other parts of the city because it's all walled off by rubble. So the only way to access them would be through underground tunnels and stuff.
I remember when I first played Vegas, and they're like, okay, so you got to go to Vegas to find this guy, or no, they don't tell you that. You have to go to like Boulder City via Prim. You have to like take a whole hook around to go up to Vegas, because the other way to get to Vegas is to go through the Deathclaw Quarry. And I remember the first time I tried playing Vegas, I tried going through the Deathclaw Quarry at level 2, and they just destroyed me in like one hit. Now I make it a point now, whenever I play, I try and like see if I can tank my way through there. Just
I need to play New Vegas again, because I don't know if I played, like say, Fallout 3, and then all the DLC like after it, and then got Vegas, because I think Vegas was coming out, so I wanted to play through everything. I think I just got burnt out just because I think it must have 150 hours of Fallout 3, and then onto that. So by then I was like, oh, it's just the same. I'm bored.
I tell you though, the way with 3, you could do Operation Anchorage. You could do that one right at the start of the game, and it will give you power armor training like 5 hours into the game, and they'd give you a suit of power armor and a suit of stealth armor. You could really just make Fallout 3 easy if you played Operation Anchorage right after you left the vault. Fallout New Vegas does that as well, but they make the expansions actually difficult. But you can be a walking tank in New Vegas. By the time you've done like nearly the whole main quest and every expansion, you can be just an unstoppable killing machine. Even just without body armor on, you can just have a jacket on and like a gun. You can just
it was
destroy
the way
everything.
that you could mod and augment your character a fair bit as well.
You could get like cybernetic implants
and stuff. Yeah,
you could get in Old World Blues. You could replace your body parts with robot parts. You could get a robot brain, robot heart, like a robot stomach, and it would have a negative effect. Like food healing would do like half, but your limbs take twice as much damage before they break. So everything in Vegas had a trade-off, and that was like at the start of the game you had those traits, and it was like it did a good thing for you, but it gave you a bad thing as well. Like while you're wearing glasses, you have +2 perception, but anytime you don't have a pair of glasses on, your perception is -1. They carried that on into Outer Worlds as well, which I kind of like that. It means that having those bonuses, it doesn't just mean you're on easy street. It's a trade-off. Everything's a trade-off. So yeah, I just like the system
that we're years away from another Fallout game.
Oh, well, I said it this week. They said it's not coming until after Elder Scrolls 6, which obviously isn't coming until after Starfield next year. They said we could be about 7 years away from the next Fallout. I'm going to be 30 in 7 years.
That's
what
insane,
the fuck, Bethesda? I'll tell you, I was 16 when Fallout 4 came out.
Oh my goodness.
Half a lifetime. before Fallout 4 comes out. Oh my god. Yeah, right. 3 in Vegas. Love them. Said enough. Should we move on so this doesn't turn into a 4-hour show?
Right. Who's
Well,
next?
I'll talk about a game that obviously Sly had issues with back in the day, and it also was a game that spawned another genre on this system. And it also held its value for a hell of a long time after the original came out, and that is Left 4 Dead.
Yes.
I know why you said I had an issue with it. Okay. Yeah.
Because it was banned in your country.
Well, no, it was, and then it wasn't. They let it through, but they censored the blood. So, and the corpses on the ground, they vanished. They didn't stay there. So when you killed a zombie, there'd be no blood. There might be a little spurt when you shot him, but there'd be no blood on the ground and no zombie bodies on the floor. They just like dissolved and disappeared. So I had Left 4 Dead 2. I just didn't have like the gory version of Left 4 Dead 2.
I mean, I will say Left 4 Dead 2 is better than the original, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the original for what it was. I played it online a lot with various different people. In fact, I knew one guy that played it for so much during a single day that by the time everyone came online to play it in the evening, he was like, no, I've been on it all day, I don't really fancy playing it. Because you're sort of running through the same maps, even though it was one of the first games I can remember that had like random spawning. So it was like things weren't always in the same place while you was going through the levels, so it was always good to explore in every room, etc. for pipe bombs and God knows what else you might pick up, ammunition, etc., med packs. I remember, I think it was playing it with, before I was obviously playing with a lot of the podcast people.
Yeah.
He was running through one of the areas and we could hear like the noise of the tank, the big like muscly mutant thing that used to be an absolute bugger to take down. But we couldn't see it anywhere, absolutely nowhere. And we was going through this little shopping part, stores, etc. And I foolishly opened a cupboard, just a cupboard door, and it was inside the cupboard. Just chilling inside the cupboard, and it broke out and like wrecked shit. I think it was in the one, I don't know if you can recall it, you go through a load of shops out towards a hospital. It's in one of the earlier maps of the game. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. Spawned a ton of sort of things that use that sort of horde wave thing coming in, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Vermintides and your Daisies, etc.
I was going to say, I know a little tidbit about Left 4 Dead 2, and it's only because I had the inferior censored version. So apart from the blood thing, which I learned because my friend had imported a UK copy, and he had blood, so it was disc locked rather than region locked or whatever. The Australian version had a cricket bat weapon as a melee weapon, and I don't think any other version of the game had it.
It's awesome.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 Australian version has a cricket bat weapon as a melee weapon. I think everyone else got the baseball bat, but I think only Australia had the cricket bat. We had both. We had the baseball bat and the cricket bat. So there was just an extra melee weapon in the game.
Used to play off each other a lot more in the second game, didn't they? Like you'd have more random conversations while you was going around different.
Yeah. Well, the first game didn't even have melee weapons. So when they brought the first games, you can play every Left 4 Dead 1 level in Left 4 Dead 2 now. They brought them out as expansions. So yeah, the Left 4 Dead 1 didn't have melee weapons, but now when you play it on Left 4 Dead 2, it has the melee weapons. So you can play Left 4 Dead 1 missions with melee weapons and the original characters. But you have to just play it within Left 4 Dead 2.
There's not really too much else to say. It's Left 4 Dead.
Everyone's tried to replicate it since Left 4 Dead 2, and no one's done it well.
Oh, no.
I'd say the Vermintide games have done that pretty well.
I actually got a free copy of Vermintide 2 this week.
Nice. Well, we need to play it, Sly, because I need some Vermintide friends.
They're giving it away on Steam. I got a free copy.
Oh,
and you've got the new one coming out at the end of this month.
Ah, that's why they gave it away.
The one set in the space Warhammer 40k universe.
Ah.
rather than the
Remember,
standard Warhammer.
remember the next game they went on to make? They made Evolve. Evolve died a death, didn't
Oh,
it?
fucking hell, game.
Did Evolve
sucked
even live?
balls.
Evolve. I played the beta. I never even bothered with the full game.
I think that was one of the first games I remember that was basically destroyed because it was A, a live service, and B, it launched with so many different microtransactions
Oh yeah.
that it put a lot of people off. And then everyone's like, I don't know, game. It's a live service game, so you know when the servers go down, it's gone forever. And then the game died, and everyone's like, oh, so we was kind of right to be cautious of that one then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Love Left 4
moving
Dead
on.
2.
Next game.
All right. Was it my go?
Mhm.
Yep. Just
Yeah.
give me 2 seconds. Sorry, guys. Need to
Set ourselves like a 2-3 minute limit per game now.
yeah. I'm looking at the wrong fucking sheet here. Oh, Left 4 Dead 2 I had highlighted. Okay. Can we talk about Dark Souls?
Yeah, let's do it. It's on my list too.
Which
Yeah, you
is...
talk about that. I'll go to the toilet.
All right, mate. You never played it?
I did that while Darren was talking.
No, that's because it's shit.
Oh, fuck off. Yes.
Yeah.
It spawned a whole genre, really,
Yeah.
didn't it? And I just seem to remember playing the game, and initially I fucking hated it because it was so hard. I was like, fuck's sake, this game's too hard. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. But then persevered with it. But I just remember one of our community members, Brady Boy.
Oh, Brady Boy. I talked to him recently.
Oh, nice. He became a little bit of an expert at Dark Souls, and on Dark Souls you could invite people in or get help on the bosses. So for every boss throughout the game, I just got him in to absolutely destroy the bosses for me. So it was a little bit of a cheat, but that's one thing I mainly remember about it, to be honest. It was just such a good game. The music, like that hub, the hub with the bonfire, and just how everywhere in that world was interconnected, and you unlocked all the shortcuts. And when you got back to the bonfire after being on an epic adventure, it was like, oh my god, I can't believe that.
I'll always remember fucking Blight Town tanks your frame rate. If you play Blight Town on the 360, you get down there to where the like the windmill is or whatever. Your FPS goes from like 30 to about 12. It's fucking awful.
Oh yeah, love that game though. It was so good.
I'm gonna say something a little controversial, a little bit. I never beat Dark Souls 1. I've beaten 3. I've beaten Elden Ring and got the platinum. I never beat the first one. I did alright on the remastered version. The original version, I'm trying to remember where I got stuck. I think it was Ornstein and Smaug. I beat Ornstein and Smaug on the remaster, but I didn't beat the final 4 bosses. I'll beat some of them. I'll go back and beat it at some point. But I love the gameplay kind of loop, how the thing with I'll speak to Elden Ring more than the other ones, I suppose, is Elden Ring gave you that freedom to, if something was too hard, to go somewhere else and try something else. The problem with the Dark Souls games that I have is that you're almost kind of locked into one path. Like there's optional bosses and there's side areas you can go to, but ultimately to progress the game you need to go to X, and it's like if you're not high enough level to tank those attacks, you just have to go and you have to farm the skeletons for like 2 hours until you're good enough, or you have to go down into the garden or the forest or whatever and grind to make sure you're good enough. Whereas Elden Ring, I like the freedom it gave you to like go and try the side bosses that you think you can handle.
The thing is, like, there's some people that are really good at Dark Souls and could just just destroy the whole game without even any armor on or anything. So
you seen someone who beat Elden Ring without getting hit?
I know.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, completely naked and just went round and destroyed everything.
Never going to be one of those players.
No. But yeah,
but I do appreciate what Dark Souls did as as a collaborative experience. Like, I used to hop on party chat on Dark Souls. Oh no, you couldn't party chat. It was one of those games that blocked party chat, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Do you remember some games used to do that? They used to force you out of party chat.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Was
Dark
that one
Souls
of them?
was one of them.
Oh.
Modern Warfare 2, some of the modes was I think Search and Destroy it made you go to
Yeah.
private chat or game chat. I think
Yeah.
Dark Souls might have been one of the other ones. Yeah, to private chat. But I was saying this about Elden Ring, coming back to it, is that it was one of those first games where like you swap tips and you swap like strategies for beating bosses, and it felt like, even though it was it's a single player game, you could summon someone in. It felt everyone was on the same side. Everyone was working towards beating the game. Everyone wanted to help each other out. Everyone wanted to summon each other. Everyone wanted to give each other tips. And I feel like we don't get enough games like that anymore. And that's why Elden Ring was such a breath of fresh air this year, because everyone was talking about it for like a month and helping each other. And Dark Souls was kind of the first one to do that.
And now that Discord room is dead.
Oh, every now and then I go, wouldn't it be nice if we had DLC? I write that in there about every 2 months.
Yeah.
Someday. Yeah, Dark Souls.
I think we'll get an announcement at the Game Awards, personally.
Yeah.
For DLC for Elden Ring.
Yeah,
It's got
that'd be
such
nice.
a huge install base, it would be silly for them not to do an expansion.
Yeah, they sold.
Yeah.
They sold like 12 million copies or something in launch month.
Yeah, I think it's up to about 15 to 20 million.
It was
isn't it?
it was the biggest Souls launch ever, which good, because it's the best Souls game in my opinion. Some people would disagree, but I think it's the best one.
All right, should we move on to another game then?
Yeah, we'll be around to Nick again now.
Oh, hasn't he gone to the toilet?
Oh, I didn't hear if he was going for a 1 or a 2 though. I guess it was a 2 because he's not saying anything.
Oh,
you hear a really loud flush. Oh, it'd be me then.
Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah.
Oh, I'm on Facebook Marketplace. I've just seen someone listing one of those Star Wars Xboxes. Oh, it's a good-looking console, isn't it? Oh, and that's right. It came with the white Kinect bar as well, didn't it?
Whoa.
Oh, remember Kinect? Kinect 1 was all right. Oh, it got brought up last week. It had some okay games. Fond memories of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. You could yell like spell names and wave your wand around.
Unless you were Scottish, and then it wouldn't recognise the words you said.
No, it wouldn't, would it? I'm looking at my giant list here, and I feel like I'm going to talk about it because it's a very important game for its genre. The Walking Dead Season 1.
I thought you was about to say the Walking Dead game that Peebs milked for achievement.
No, the Telltale one, the episodic one. I didn't play it until all 5 episodes are out. I played it when it was all out. But I was going to say, as far as it came out at just the right time, because the show had come out a year or 2 before, maybe the first season. So people were talking about Walking Dead. People were into it. But it just had. I mean, it was on Xbox Live Arcade, and you downloaded it in 5 parts, and it just had like heart, and it was just, it kept you on the hook with those cliffhangers at the end of each episode, and you just like, I can only speak to what it must have been like, because obviously I played it when it was all out, so I binged it in a weekend, but I'm guessing people were like itching for more every time, and you build that kind of connection with the characters, and you just you want to see the end of the story, but you don't want the story to end. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've obviously had that experience now with the subsequent 3 seasons. Playing it month to month as they come out. It's very sad when Telltale Games shut down. I could also talk. I mean, I'll just brush on obviously you had Wolf Among Us as well. Later down the track, you had like the Borderlands one and Game of Thrones, but Walking Dead was the first one. I mean, technically there was Wallace and Gromit, but I'm not going to acknowledge Wallace and Gromit. It was all right. I did play later down the track. I did play their Back to the Future one as well.
Yeah.
It was originally an iPad game, and they moved it to console. Yeah. No, I like that one too.
Yeah,
but
Back to the
Walking
Future
Dead
was really good.
No, I like that Back to the Future one. It was basically a sequel to the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. But I think what Telltale was and what they did, and before, I think the problem with Telltale is they got oversaturated. They tried to make too many games in too many different franchises. Like they had Batman, they had Minecraft. Fuck, they had a lot, didn't they?
Guardians of the Galaxy as well, didn't
Yeah,
they?
they
Do
have
one of them?
Guardians of the Galaxy. They did. But Walking Dead was, I'd say, their first major success. And I'm really glad that they got to finish season 4. Because basically what happened is they dissolved halfway through the Walking Dead season 4, the final season, and the Skybound, the people who do the comics, they picked up the assets and whatever was left, and they made sure to finish the last 2 episodes. So I'm very glad that kind of story got to round out and finish. And I was very happy with the conclusion in the final season. I'd say out of those 4 seasons, there's only one weak one, and it's not even the last season. It's the 3rd season. The 3rd season is the worst one, but even that's enjoyable. I've been replaying them this last couple of weeks because they've come out on PC Game Pass with a separate achievement list. So I'm double dipping.
Sure. Double dipping for the win.
I'm up to the 3rd season now. So I remember it being like not as good as the first 2 seasons. But I'll see how I go because I'll probably play it tonight.
Have you beat all the Walking Dead? Yeah.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
In fact, I say I'm double dipping on Chivos. I'm not double dipping. I think at this point I'm quadruple dipping. I think I've played them on 360, Xbone. Then I played them on the. They did like a compilation collection with all of them in them. And now I'm playing them on the PC. So out of those games, I've probably got about 15,000 G.
Yeah. How'd you get on with the end of 4 with Clementine, and then what happened after that? I streamed that. I was in tears. I don't care. They broke me.
Oh.
I mean,
Shut up, Webby.
What year did season 4 end? Was that 2019?
I played it recently, so I didn't play it straight away.
So
I don't want to spoil it, but it was sad.
But following the same character for 7 years, you become very attached and you want to see the end of their story.
Yeah.
And I was
sweet
upset.
Clementine. I don't want her to die.
Yeah, and I was saying before about how Telltale dissolved during that 4th season, and they Skybound had to pick it up and finish it. And I was like, I needed to see the ending, and I needed it to land. And the way they did it, with everything that happened and everything that went on in the making the game, I'm really glad they finished it, and it was good, and it was functional, and the story told was, it was well written. And I think that besides. I'm trying to think of other ones they've done that were like anywhere near as good as The Walking Dead, and the only 2 I can think of that come close is Wolf Among Us, which is still getting a 2nd season, which is very good, and Tales from the Borderlands. That was the only other one I'd put on.
Guardians of the Galaxy was okay.
It was pretty good.
That was.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
I will say the Batman one was pretty good, but the thing is, none of them made me feel. Stuff like
no, it's because we weren't. I think because even though that was Walking Dead, they were all new characters.
They were original characters.
Yeah, original.
That's the thing. Whereas if you make a game on an existing IP with existing characters, you already have preconceived notions about how they should be and how they should interact with people. Like Star-Lord has to hate Thanos and like Gamora. But Lee and Clementine, brand new characters, like never in the comics, never in the show. So you learn and develop those connections as they do, and that's what made that whole genre of game very, very powerful. I've talked about them for like 5-10 minutes now, but
the second Tales from the Borderlands just came out recently.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I've heard it's pretty good though. We'll get it on a sale. I think it's got Reese from the original one in it, who was obviously in Borderlands 3 as well.
Yes, yeah.
That one was really good. I actually really like Tales from the Borderlands. I'd say in terms of if I was to rank them, I'd probably put like Walking Dead just as a franchise, and then I'd probably put Wolf Among Us and then Borderlands. But I think it was a very important game to bring up because, of course, it spanned this whole genre. And then I didn't even mention, of course, Life is Strange, not by the same people, but like another example of games taking that story-driven narrative format, that branching paths. And then you've got like those David Cage games as well on the PlayStation, Detroit, Heavy Rain. I feel like I know Heavy Rain was before this one, but every other subsequent game has taken.
Yeah, but Fahrenheit was on the Xbox, though, wasn't it? Which was
Indigo
awesome.
Prophecy?
Yeah.
I love the whole, and I mentioned this before with Alan Wake when we were talking about it. I love narrative and story in games, and I like depth, and I like good characterization and writing. And The Walking Dead, season 1 to 4. If you're following Clementine, it's just a fantastic character study, and there's probably not going to be a game that does anything quite like that again.
Yeah,
and that's kind of sad. So, yeah, I thought it needed mentioning, and the fact that it was an Xbox Live Arcade game as well. I was like, Xbox Live Arcade hasn't got enough mention yet.
And we didn't talk about Xbox Live Arcade yet.
No, you said we were saving it for this episode. That's why I made sure to mention it. I've got another XBLA game for later.
Well, let's talk about Xbox Live Arcade generally now. I mean, I loved Xbox Live Arcade, and it's something I truly do miss. Because when Xbox Live Arcade started, they actually had a size limit for the games because they had to cater for the memory card users of the Xbox 360. So the games had to be very small when at the beginning, and then they upped the limit as the years went on. But the thing I liked about it was initially it was like a lot of retro arcade games. I love retro arcade games. So you had like Frogger and what else? Like Scramble and loads of old arcade games, which I absolutely love. But they jazzed up the graphics as well and added online co-op to a lot of these games, which was fantastic. Like I've a lot of fond memories playing Scramble in particular in co-op online, and it was just a lot of fun. And it was just such a good service because as it grew, they added a lot of quality games onto that service. So it was just fantastic. You had such a good selection of games on there, original games, classic games. Unlike now, where there isn't an Xbox Live Arcade at all because every single fucking game is download these days, which I know Darren absolutely loves. But you know, it was just, I don't know what you guys think, but it's just something I absolutely miss because it's just some true gems on that service. And all the games are quite cheap as well.
Never played any of them.
A few. Really?
Never played any of the Xbox Live Arcade stuff.
Wow.
I'm just going to rattle off a few.
I mean, I've heard of them, but was it Braid and things, Terraria and stuff. I just never played any of them.
Castle Crashers was the one I just wrote down.
I was playing that this week, Castle Crashers, with my boy.
I saw, actually.
I said I didn't still make stuff, Behemoth?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen a game from them for ages.
What do they make?
Because they did that other one where you was kind of co-op, wasn't it? And you were like using characters that were like made out of shapes, and you could unlock shape characters. More puzzly.
They made Battle Block Theatre as well, didn't they?
That's it. That's the one I'm thinking of. Battle Block Theatre.
Yeah, okay. I think they've made a game recently called Pit People. I haven't played it. I've heard of it.
But yeah, like Xbox Live Arcade though, I had by the time of the Xbox 360 generation was over 200 games I'd bought on that service.
I was gonna say, did you ever play? No, you would have Doritos Crash Course.
Yes, everyone remembers Doritos.
Game. Did you? There was because you could get two. There was two Doritos games. There was Harm's Way, which was like a racing game in the desert, and then there was Doritos Crash Course, which was basically total wipeout. There was actually a Doritos Crash Course 2, I found out. Apparently I played it, but I mustn't have played it anywhere near as much as the first one. But you just like ran obstacle courses against your friends using the avatars, and it was just like the show, wasn't it? You had the big balls, you had the sweepers, you had like a water you'd fall into. Oh, there hasn't been a game like that in like ever. There hasn't been another game like that game, and it was a fucking promotional game for Doritos. It was free as well. I don't think you had to pay for it. I think it was free.
Yeah, I know, and that's what's another cool thing about the Xbox Live Arcade. Like, you know, there'd be these free games because they were like adverts for products or whatever, but they were just fun little games and easy achievements. But I just loved arcade, man. That was just because it's just such a different type of games. They were like these little games, and you could have like 4-player co-op games you could play with people. And
I mean, there was a game on arcade that I really loved. State of Decay 1 was an Xbox Live Arcade game. I think I enjoyed that one more than the second one. I don't even think I finished the second one. But the first one, that was an Xbox Live Arcade game. And what was another one? There was another one I wanted to rattle off. Oh, the first Portal. That was an Xbox Live Arcade game.
Hell, yeah.
Yep. And also, I don't know.
I'm sure
it was on Xbox Live Arcade. Oh, yeah, it was, but you could also download it separate through the arcade. There was also one I really liked was before Dead Rising 2 came out. They did like a little prequel game called Case Zero. I played the shit out of that game. I played that game at least half a dozen times because the thing is, the clock for the mission. It was only I looked it up. I wanted to know how long it was. It was only 70 minutes. So you could beat the game in 70 minutes if you could beat it. It was just like a mini version of Dead Rising 2 before Dead Rising 2 came out. And, you know, you had to, like, find survivors and kill bosses and find Zombrex to, like, keep your daughter alive. But that was an XBLA game as well. It was just like a smaller version of Dead Rising 2. It was just set on one big street in a town.
Yeah.
Set 3 years before Dead Rising 2. That was I like that. That was a cool prequel game.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so many good games on arcade, and it's just something I really do miss because there was just some genuine, great little games on there, and now you just can't find anything because everything's just in one big store. And I like the fact that they segmented arcade off from everything else, just because you would be like, right, I want to see what's on Xbox Live Arcade, see what some cool little games are on there. Yeah, it was great. Loved it. Good times.
Now everything just comes under the one marketplace, and you don't get. I mean, you get some, but you used to get those like, you know, like the single person or two people developed games, like
the
Like I remember I made a game with zombies in it, but like made was like ED.
Yeah, that was so good, and just that little theme tune. I made a game.
You don't get as many of those these days. There's a few that come through the marketplace, but you don't get as many of them anymore. There was also that. Do you remember that paintball one? I don't remember the name of it, but you played as your avatars and you shot paintball guns at each other.
Yeah.
And there was also I was just thinking of another game. I didn't play too much of it, but I know it was pretty popular. Do you ever play Gotham City Imposters?
I remember it.
I didn't play that.
Yeah, you play as like
PvP/PvE.
And I think it was PvP, but you made your own like hero or villain. And then you're in Gotham City, and you just have to like fight each other. There was one more highlight of the XBLA for me. There was a game. It was called Bloody Good Time.
Okay.
Now, do you'd know this game? You've played it on Steam, I'm guessing. You played The Ship?
Yes.
It was The Ship, but on Xbox. It was basically The Ship. So if anyone not familiar, you have a target, but you are also someone's target, and you get penalized if you kill the wrong target. But you know, you get a goal. It'd be like you have to kill Webby. You get bonus points if you kill Webby with a bottle, and then you have to like find a bottle and then beat your target to death. But someone's hunting you down. You're someone's target too, and it'll be like an 8 or 12 player lobby. But Bloody Good Time, the good bit was this one. It was multiple maps, but it was set in it's like Hollywood. So you were on movie sets. Right. So you'd hunt someone down in like the back lots, or you'd hunt someone down on like the space set, or on the boat set. So there was each level was like a different movie set, and it was like a hunt and be hunted game. Yeah, so it was like the ship. No, that was bloody good time. That's one of my favorite Xbox Live Arcade games.
Nice. I don't want to bang on about Xbox Live Arcade for much longer because I know that time.
Well, we needed to mention it.
Yeah, it was just so fucking good, man. Absolutely loved it.
Don't get that these days.
No. I just want to mention a game that was a definitely top tier highlight for me on the 360. Operation Flashpoint. Now I know that you could get this game on the PC, but on the Xbox, it was just you didn't have anything else like it on console. And I just had so many good times playing it co-op with Headcase and a few other people in the community. It was just Operation Flashpoint, man. Did you guys play that? I can't remember if you did.
I played it a little. I played it a little bit. I didn't really get into it.
Oh, what games! Any of you, Darren? Did you play? I'm sure you played it. I can't remember.
Played what? Sorry.
Operation Flashpoint.
Yes, I did. It wasn't a live arcade game.
No, we've gone past.
We moved on from that.
I think you fell asleep for a minute. No. Yes. No. Hello.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I preferred the second one, Red River.
Yes. And I just because I just remember it being, it was very hardcore, and like those sort of games were normally exclusive on PC. You didn't really see those type of games on console. So it's just a joy to play those Operation Flashpoint games just because they were so tough. And I just remember them having a really good upgrade system with the weapons. Like the more you played, you'd upgrade your weapons, and then you'd max them out, and you have your different classes like your sniper class and assault class and things like that. And it was just, as I remember getting to a point where I'd max out every single fucking class and weapon, and I had like a really good combo of a really good assault rifle and sniper rifle. And just such good games, man. So good. Awesome. Did we talk about the Mass Effect series last week?
No, it's on my list.
Do you want to talk about that quick?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah, I mean, so I got Mass Effect 1 with my Xbox. I don't think I could get off of Eden Prime. I think I was too shit and too young to know what I was doing. Didn't, and then eventually, I don't think I beat Mass Effect 1. I don't think I beat Mass Effect 1 until after I'd played 2. I think I gave up. I didn't have the patience for 1 because I was like 9 or 10.
It was Mako, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think eventually, I think the point where I stopped was on the Noveria, the ice planet with the Mako. I kept getting shredded up by the Geth, and I think I just didn't have the patience for it at like 10 or whatever it was. So, but then I remember a family friend, or their daughter, she was a few years older than me, and she had a 360, and she was like, "Oh, I just got this game from work." She worked in a game shop, and she's like, "I got it early. They sort of let me take a copy home." And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah. Have you heard of it? It's called Mass Effect 2." And I was like, "Oh, I played the first one. It was all right. I didn't beat it. I was too hard." She's like, "Oh, well, I've heard very good things about this one." She was like, "You wanna play the opening like 2 hours, like having a barbecue?" I was like, "Okay." And I sat there and I played through the first 2 hours on her Xbox, and I was like, "Oh shit, this game's way better than the first one." And then I went out and bought a copy of Mass Effect 2. And then I beat Mass Effect 2, and then I was like, "Oh, it's good." And I kind of got the gist of the story from the first one. They kind of summarize it all right. Maybe I'll go back and play the first one, and then I did, obviously, before 3. And then I played through 1, then I played through 2. And then 3 came out. It was first one was 2007, second one was 2010, third one was 2012. And I remember how hyped I was for the third one. I pre-ordered the limited edition. It came with like the big box, and you got like the lithograph, and you got the N7 badge, and you got your DLC pack for like Javik the squad mate, who should not have been a DLC squad mate. Very important to the plot. And also you get your leather jacket and you got your robot dog. Remember the robot dog? Oh. But I remember my hype for Mass Effect 3 was about as possibly high as I've ever been hyped for a game, and that was because of how good 2 was. 2 was, I think I gave 2 my game of the generation for the 360. I either gave it to Fallout New Vegas or Mass Effect 2, and now I say it out loud, I think I gave it to Mass Effect 2. It just did everything that the first game did well and did it better. And
it was back when BioWare and EA were pumping out good games.
Oh, I know, and I didn't get into the disappointment that was 3's ending because I'd like to remember the games fondly. No, but Mass Effect 2, man, like the changes they made, because if you remember, the first one only has about 5. As far as main stories go, I guess you have about 5 planets, and then you have a couple side planets you can do quests on. The second one took away the open worldedness of the missions. They kept the hubs you could walk around, but they made the missions more linear. They did kind of make it more linear, the second one and the third one. But they kept the exploration bit in for the open world hubs for like doing the little side quests, talking to people, buying stuff for your ship. They kept that in there, but they made the missions more straightforward, which I was okay with because it took away the unnecessary Mako segments and running across a whole map to go talk to someone.
Yeah.
And they tightened up the gunplay. They took away the overheating on the weapons. They gave you thermal clips like ammo instead. The squad mates in 2, holy shit! With DLC, there's like 13 of the fuckers. There's so many of them, and you got to go talk to them after every mission. But every like chat you have with them, you learn something, or they teach you something new about the world. And once again, has a fantastic story, that trilogy of games, except the ending of the third one. Had to get the jab in, had to do it. It's a little better now with the extended ending DLC. It's okay.
I started replaying Mass Effect 1, the remastered version, the other week.
Yeah.
I think they definitely improved it, because I haven't come across one of those annoying driving around the stupid Mako thing around a planet aimlessly at all.
They'll
take
come.
it away? Oh, right.
No, okay. It's still there, but they made the Mako better. It has a booster, so you can boost, and also the traction. It stays gripped to the ground now. It doesn't flip over.
Yeah.
It doesn't flip anymore. It's actually kind of fun to drive now. I mean, it was fun to drive when it flipped over, I suppose.
I had a Mako mission, like a main mission thing, but I've not had any of those planets where you just aimlessly just drive around and there's fuck all happening, which I seem to remember from the first one.
I was going to say the remaster of the first one it's the game they put the most work into, the remaster of, because they actually redid the graphics. They put it in like new engine. They upped the FPS. They changed. They like did bloom and all this other stuff. They added a bunch of lighting effects. Like, you look at a video comparing like the original one to the remaster one. It's night and day.
Yeah.
The other 2, they just sort of up-resed them, slapped 4K on them, and sort of called it a day. Yeah. Did some bug fixes or whatever, which I'm fine with because I think 2 looks good anyway, and so does 3, especially 3 actually. But no, they actually put work into the remastering of 1. I guess because it looked the most dated, which makes sense. It's the oldest one. No, I love that remaster. Played the crap out of it when it came out last year. Yeah, but
nice.
Yeah, that trilogy. I mean, they've announced 4. They announced 4 like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Where the fuck is it? And also, I know that Liara's going to be in the 4th one, but she looks older, so they might do the whole, they don't have to acknowledge the ending of 3, they just skip ahead 200 years or something. That'd be alright. I don't know. I like the squad mates from 2 and 3, and that's why I kind of am hesitant about playing another one, because it's going to be like, you might get Liara and some of the Krogans might live. In terms of like the lifespans, though, some of the squad mates are just going to be dead. just in terms of like the lore they've established. Like some of the species die at like age 80. The Salarians die at like age 40. So if they're doing a time skip, some of your crew is not going to be there, which shit happens. But what made those games was the character interactions, and the problem I think people had with Andromeda, apart from the bugginess or whatever, was that it wasn't your squad, it wasn't your crew, it was this whole other group of people, and people didn't feel connected to them like they did the original trilogy's characters.
Yeah.
But that being said, I just want Mass Effect. It's been fucking years since Andromeda. It's been like 5 years since Andromeda. So
I have 1, 2, and 3 brand new and sealed, and the Legendary Edition. I've never played any of it.
Wow.
Oh, go play the Legendary Edition. Go do it.
I'm busy. I've got to wash my hair, mate.
Oh my god.
It's one of the best game series of all time.
It's a lot of time to put in, though.
It's probably the best game trilogy ever released.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. The only other kind of trilogy I can say even probably holds a candle to it is probably the BioShock trilogy.
Infinite was average. Gears of War.
Whoa! Infinite might be my favorite one, actually.
It's average at best.
Well, anyway, Gears of War trilogy was fantastic, but the Mass Effect games, they're just something else. And there's been.
I need to start with one and play through them all, because you said
you do need to.
So if it was the 360 version, it's still bad, but the Legendary Edition is a lot better.
Well, it's not bad. I mean, you can play Mass Effect 1. It's backwards compatible on the one. You can throw your old 360 disc in. But,
if I've got the Legendary Edition, I should play
play the Legendary Edition, because it's 4K 60 FPS. You can do 1440p, 120 FPS if you got a TV for it. The graphics on 1 overhauled massively. Legendary Edition has every DLC for every game. There's one missing from 1 because like the code got corrupt, but it was like an average DLC at best.
Do I get to sleep with green alien girls?
Green? No. Other colors? Yes.
Oh, all right.
Blue. You can have a blue alien girl.
I don't mind blue. Blue's a nice colour, I suppose.
Oh my god, I didn't know you'd never played Mass Effect.
Oh,
you gotta
insane, isn't he?
Play the Legendary Edition. You fire that up and you play it.
You should stream it, man. People love watching you stream
it. Yeah, that's why, because when I play, I don't like playing really long games, especially 3, because then I'll play them for 2-3 months solid, and then people will get bored.
The thing with 1 is, I don't know how you feel, Webby, with 1 is the way the main story's structured. You can probably bang it in about 10 hours. And there's not that much side stuff worth your time in the first
Can I avoid, because I've never been huge on side missions, can I just be through the main story?
Them. You can mainline them. I'd say with 2 and 3, you should make some effort to do some side quests, because some of them are better than the main story. But ultimately you can, and definitely for 1, you can definitely mainline 1. I do. I mainline 1 when I replay them. I replay them every couple years. When I played the Legendary Edition last year, I think I made it a point though to try and do as much as I could in 1, because I'd never done that in 1. When I played it on the 360, I just tried to beat the thing to see the whole story pan out. I don't know. I think for 1 you're good to just do the main story and then just move on to 2 because it's the better game. 3 does some things better than 2, but 2's the better game. 3 has better shooting and gunplay.
All of them, man.
Yeah, no, they're all good. They're all fantastic. They're all like some of the best games ever made. Like all 3 of them, including 1, which I think 1. It was really good at the time, and it didn't age too well, which is why it needed the remaster. And now it's like as part of that package, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
And of course, 3 had the multiplayer as well, didn't it? The co-op horde mode thing.
Yeah.
Because everyone was doing horde mode those days. I think that was quite fun, actually, that co-op.
It was quite decent, yeah. I remember, yeah.
And every expansion for those games was fantastic. Like Lair of the Shadow Broker, fucking what was the other one? There was another good one. There's another good one. Oh, Arrival, that was 2 as well. And then you had Citadel in 3. I'm not going to spoil them for Nick, but
I'll forget, mate. I'll forget everything.
Oh yeah, that's all right. it like the main story across the whole 3 games is fantastic, and then the DLC stories, some of them are better, and it's like you're just in for a good ride, and if you've never played them, you're gonna have a great time.
I can't worry about spoilers in like 10, 15-year-old games. You know, like Webby says, Dom dies, get over it.
Mass Effect was 15 years ago, wasn't it?
Okay, now. Right, guys, I'm just looking. We've been going for 2 hours and 9 minutes. Are we going to bang out loads more games? I've got to read out all the stuff that people are putting in the forum as well.
Why don't we whip through games now? You get a minute or 2 per game. Just whip through. Do like 2 more rotations.
Are you guys all right with that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, can I just read out my list, and then if you've got anything to say, then say it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Shall we just do that? And then, because I'm guessing some of you have got them on your, I might have forgotten to highlight some that we've talked about. So if we've talked about it, just say Webby, you're a knob. So Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Love those games.
It's weird
because that was my one.
Like that generation, the 360 PS3 generation, we had it was the generation for like plastic instruments, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was a good time.
I remember. Did you play DJ Hero?
Yeah. I love that.
That was fantastic.
It was awesome.
Music
I like
in
DJ
it. It's
Hero.
great.
I regret that I don't have it anymore.
I've still got 1 and 2 and 2 of the controllers as well.
Ooh.
Never played any of it.
Oh, I loved Rock Band. I used to go around my mate's house. We'd all have all the instruments. We'd just play.
I played 5. I played World Tour, and I played DJ Hero. I never had Rock Band. It was like Guitar Hero versus Rock Band. But were they both made by Activision, or am I crazy?
EA was Rock Band, and Guitar Hero was Activision.
Oh, I see. They were like rival games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember they did the Beatles guitar? Was it Beatles Rock Band?
Boring. That was so boring, man.
Was it? Oh, Guitar Hero Metallica was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss those games. I hope they come back.
Yeah. Also, the 360 was really good for racing games. A couple ones I wanted to highlight was Grid and Split Second.
And chuck in Forza Motorsport 3 as well.
Well, we're also going to talk about Forza.
You didn't mention Blur. Where's Blur?
Oh, Blur was also good as well, you know. But I just remember Split Second and Grid coming out at a very similar time and being rivals at that time. That's why I put those in.
Yeah.
But, Blur was good, and obviously Forza. You can't talk about wrestling games on Xbox without the Forza franchise.
Yeah. I played a lot of Motorsport 4.
Yeah, so Motorsport was great at the time. I remember having some really good sessions online with the community, and Headcase making some really cool designs for the cars as well.
Oh, deliveries! I remember those.
Yeah, which was awesome. And then obviously the Forza Horizon franchise started on the Xbox 360 as well. And I just remember when the first Forza Horizon came out, I was just absolutely blown away. The music, the setting, the cars, the arcadiness was just so fucking good. Man.
It was the first racing game I can remember ever sinking serious hours into. It was Horizon 1. That was set in the US, wasn't it? I remember whipping down that giant highway that spanned like 8 miles or whatever. Yeah. And you just tried to like floor it and see how fast you could go without hitting the bollards. That was probably one of the first games I played with you, I'd say.
So good. And then I just remember, like, because Forza Horizon 1 was so good, like the hype for Forza Horizon 2 was just unbelievable, man. I was so excited for that.
Do you remember doing those co-op missions?
Oh yeah. So good. Sorry, Nick, what did you say?
I was going to say, I think Horizon 2 was when I first started playing games with you online.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it was one of those really good community games I
Yeah,
feel.
or when I was actually talking, because normally I'd play like Call of Duty and stuff like that, but I'd always play but never talk because I was too
I think
scared.
the first games I played with Webby, it would have been Gears 3 and it would have been Horizon 1.
Oh, good times.
Horizon 1. What a game.
I mean, it was
It's
just weird, like
I like the new ones, but the old
Yeah.
ones were good.
I think
I think
it's just
Horizon 2 is my favourite. I actually went and bought that on
yeah.
Horizon 2 is my
I played that on 3. I bought that on Xbox One, but then it came out on 360 as well. So I
did.
bought the 360 disc so I could just play it all again.
Yeah, Horizon 2 for me is definitely my favourite. I think purely because
I think it's mine as well.
we had so many people playing it online at the same time.
I think it's the one I played the most.
Yeah.
By far. Because they released those they had the expansion packs, and then they did those like free Porsche co-op missions down the track.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There was already co-op missions, and they added like another 20. And you and me, we were trying to like crack them all, like get the maximum stars. And some of those, we would try for hours some evenings. You had to like hit a speed target at like 241 miles an hour, and you had to do it with like no run up. And you and me, we had to come up with really creative ways to beat the missions. Oh, we spent hours on Horizon 2. But of course, this is a 360 special. And technically it was on 360, but Horizon 1.
It can.
Well, I remember one of your YouTube videos, Webby. Do you remember the Horizon 1000 Club DLC?
Yeah.
That was one of your first YouTube videos. I remember that.
The memories. Yeah, when I got that Elgato. Was it? No, I got some sort of capture device sent to me to review, and I used it to do my early YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Good times.
Horizon.
Okay, one game I have to mention that I had a lot of fun on the 360, probably before I met any of you, actually.
I see what game it is already.
Rockstar's Table Tennis. What a game. I mean, that was very early Xbox 360. And,
I played a different tennis game. I played Sonic and Sega All-Stars Tennis, or whatever it was. Sega Superstars Tennis, that's the one.
Oh, no, yeah. But just remember Rockstar's table tennis is so different to what Rockstar normally do with the GTAs and stuff.
They did it to test out the graphics engine, right? Before they made 4.
It was fucking
before
amazing,
they made GTA 4.
I played it online so much. It was so good.
The whole point of that game is, from what I understand, though, they made that game to test their engine before they published GTA 4.
Wow,
it was an engine test for them, but some people really love that table tennis game.
Yeah. No, mate. Love you. My boy's like, "Are you done yet, Daddy?" Yeah, and then another game that I'd love to see them do another sequel or something of. Brothers in Arms: Hell's Highway.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so they did a couple of Brothers in Arms games, but Hell's Highway is the one that really stands out to me because I love World War II history anyway. So I really enjoy the games. But this was done in a way, it was a first-person shooter, but it had tactics. So they actually had the real like maps, like that they used in the war, like the satellite images, and you'd set Marcus. Wait, so you'd you set your tactics on the map and send your troops out, but then you'd actually fight as well. Isn't that right, Darren? Can you talk for a minute while I sort my boy out?
Hell's Highway. I just remember it being like very, very squad and tactical based, and grenades would actually blow the crap out of people in it. It also had a random achievement, if I remember back in the day, for playing it on a certain date.
Oh, was it on D-Day by any chance?
Something like that, yes.
Oh, there's a few games like that. Halo 3 had a couple of achievements like that.
And then you just change the clock on your
Batman Arkham City had them as well. The Calendar Man achievement. You had to like visit him on Christmas Day, visit him on April Fool's Day. There's a few games that did that.
Yeah.
Just talking about features in games. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I know it's not on your list. I'm surprised it's not actually. It's a Tom Clancy game. Did anyone play Tom Clancy's End War?
Oh, what a game! Oh, you could use the
That
headset
game
and talk to it, couldn't you?
had one of the coolest fucking features I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
I, as like a 11-year-old, it blew my mind. You put on your headset and you could direct the troops. You could be like, Delta Squad, move to Sector 4. And they'd like fucking do it. It like worked every time as well. It never like broke on me. It always worked.
That's
So it was like,
cool.
it was like my first kind of proper experience playing an RTS. That and Halo Wars, which was a
Yeah.
fantastic game.
Yeah.
But M-War being like, all right, move here, now go here, attack the tank. I'm like,
Mhm.
that blew my mind as like a kid. I
Yeah.
was like, I love that game. But they haven't really carried that forward into anything, have they? Is that a thing? It's not really.
No,
Like, I don't
it's
think you
like
can do that in Civ or anything, can you?
No,
Or like
because
Age of Empires, you can't do that.
because there's so many features that we don't have anymore. So I like the one that springs to my mind is Rainbow Six Vegas, which was an amazing game, but you could
Scan
use
your
the
face
live.
with the Xbox Live Vision camera.
Yeah, you take the picture of your face, and it would actually have your face on the character in the game, and you'd be shooting your mates online. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, and that live vision camera, I loved it because playing Uno with the live vision camera was so fucking hilarious as well.
Flashing your cock at people.
Good times, man. You never get anything like that now. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I think more games should use like the voice function. That was such a cool thing. Like I mentioned earlier about playing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows on the Kinect, and you yell the spell names and he casts the spells.
Oh, that's cool.
Mass Effect 3 had Kinect linked in as well, where you could command your squad with voice commands.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you could say, Garrus, throw a grenade, or Liara, hit him with a biotic charge.
Yeah, nice.
I'm sad the Kinect died because we lost things like that, and they were gimmicks, but they were cool gimmicks, and I missed them. And N-War was the first kind of gimmick like that I remember, and it worked, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
Tom, I just wanted to make sure we mentioned N-War because I thought that game was like a pioneer, and it kind of didn't take off anywhere. But
yeah,
just that's such a cool thing.
I think we can all agree the best was Uno with a webcam. That's the best game ever.
I
miss the Uno
played
with
that
a webcam
so
era.
much, man. God.
You've got to be a bit careful and don't have anyone watching if you're playing randoms.
But the amount of boobs I saw on that game was insane.
Wow.
Man. I kept seeing the bottom half
women
of
on
blokes.
Oh.
All right, I'm going to rattle off a load of games as well because I do want to get to the community bits as well. Street Fighter 4, awesome online. We had a lot of fun on that. Darren, I remember you having a lot of fun on that as well. Collie Wally loved it. We had the fight pads and everything. I actually think that was probably the last really good Street Fighter game. Don't hurt me.
Well, apparently 6 is going to be good, so
it's looking pretty decent.
Yeah.
I've never been into fighters. The only fighter I've ever really got into was Injustice 2.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was good. All right, Enslaved and Odyssey to the West. I just remember that being just
fantastic.
Yeah. On my
list. It's on my Steam wish list. I've never played it.
What, mate? You need to play that game. The story.
Well,
Yeah,
Steam friends, Sly. I'd have
On my
bought it
Steam
for
wish
you,
list.
but we're not Steam friends. I don't think we are.
Oh.
See, I'm just buying your friendship now at this point.
It was on sale a couple weeks ago. I should have grabbed it.
Have you noticed it's always on sale when you when you want to buy it? You know, or it's never
Only
on sale when you want.
$28.95. I'll wait till it goes down to like.
Have a look on CD
$10.
keys, mate. It'd probably be like £2
Yeah.
or something.
It looks dated, but I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember at the time, just it blew me away. This whole the story and everything. Just
I hadn't actually heard of it until a couple weeks ago.
really.
Do you remember? Well, do you remember in the WhatsApp chat in our podcast chat, Collie Wally was like, Elliot, what was the name of this game where you have a woman and you have a guy and it's in a dystopia? And I'm like, I've never heard of it, don't know. And he was like, oh, it's Enslaved Odyssey to the West. And I was like, yeah, never played that one. That's why it's on my Steam wish list, because I got told it was one of the best 360 games and I should play it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
Man.
why it's on my
Really
wish list.
interesting take on the Journey to the West storyline.
Is that like a book? I just can't remember. Is that a book?
It's the tale, like Monkey Magic, you know.
Yes. Yeah, because the main character's called Monkey.
Yeah, and Trip.
Yeah.
Which is the female in it.
Well, I'll be playing it when it goes on sale.
It's fantastic. Where am I up to? Did we talk about Assassin's Creed? I can't remember.
We kind of brushed over it. I don't think we really got stuck into it, but again, kind of like Mass Effect, I didn't get grabbed by Assassin's Creed till the second game. Loved the second game. In fact, I only beat Assassin's Creed 1 about 3 months ago.
Wow.
Because it's a clunky fucking game. Even on the Series X with like the 60 FPS 4K, it's a clunky game, and it is very repetitive, that first one. Assassin's Creed 2, fantastic game. Loved every minute. Still holds up now.
On rails.
Great. Yeah. And I was going to say, the other thing that I'm kind of sad that's gone. Do you remember Assassin's Creed multiplayer?
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
I loved Assassin's Creed multiplayer, and they're bringing it back.
Really?
How exciting.
Ooh.
I know, right? Yeah, no, they're bringing it back. Because it was kind of like what I was saying about that game Bloody Good Time earlier. You have a target and someone's hunting you. It was the same thing. But you could hide in crowds, you could hide in hay bales, you could hide on the roof and like assassinate, leap of faith someone off the roof. Oh, it was just such a fun thing. And they introduced that in Brotherhood, and I think they got rid of it after 4. So it was in
it was definitely
4
in 4, because I remember the co-op mode I used to play quite a bit.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
We used to go around having to chain assassinate people and stuff.
Yeah, they had co-op in Unity as well. Assassin's Creed 2 is probably my... of the 360 ones, it's probably my favourite. I'd say I think I like Black Flag more, but that was one of those weird ones. It came out on the 360 and the 1. It was, I think, the only one to come out on the 360 and the 1. Actually, I think Ubisoft were very quick to get away from the 360. I guess because they were making these bigger and bigger Assassin's Creed games, and they were getting like hardware limitations by the end, I'm sure. Many good memories on Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed just multiplayer. Brotherhood, Revelations 3 and 4. Loved Assassin's Creed. Switch, I know you're a massive Assassin's Creed fan.
Oh, I like all of them apart from 2 and the subsequent ones that span off it. That I just
2 is my favourite. Explain why 2 is so bad.
2 is my favourite.
I mean, I played them every summer. I'd play the next Assassin's Creed on my birthday. I think I died to death after Black Flag.
Main reason is because it's on rails. Like, you're not actually given any choices in how to assassinate a target. It's like move to point A, move to point B, push a button, run away. That's it. There's no planning it out yourself and executing the kill the way you want to do it. It was just all telegraphed.
Are you excited about Mirage because they've said you can choose your method of assassination and you can plan it?
Maybe not. We'll have to see with that one. I mean, it's going to be a smaller game, isn't it? And they're moving back to the older style.
I think they're going to alternate it though. One game is going to be like smaller and self-contained, and then the next one's going to be a big open world one. I think that's the Japan one, isn't it? That's the open world one. I don't mind that approach. I don't think they all need to be these mega open world games.
Oh no, they don't.
I mean,
like, there's
you had Origins, Valhalla, and Odyssey all in a row. You know.
But I just remember getting really frustrated and pissed off with 2. Like, there's also a lot of on-rail sections where you're on the back of like Leonardo's stupid carriage fending people off, and there was a bit as well where there's like a female interest in the game, and she's sailing down a river, and you've got to run along taking out all these dickheads on roofs, firing down at them within a certain time limit. It just annoyed me so much, a lot of it.
I replayed Assassin's Creed 2 about 2-3 months ago. I was going to do this mega playthrough.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to do this mega playthrough of all the Assassin's Creeds, and I got halfway through Brotherhood, and I was like, maybe I should slow down on these. They do start to feel a bit samey, don't they?
Yeah, we can talk about another sort of Assassin's Creed style rip-off game that I found to be hugely overlooked, and it was one I picked up on a whim, which was Saboteur.
Never played it, heard good things.
I don't think I played that either, actually.
You play like an Irish guy who's like a mechanic or a race car driver that's basically in France during a race when like the Second World War's going on.
Oh yeah.
And you basically get stuck there, and you end up teaming up with the French resistance to take back occupied Paris.
Ah.
And
well, the good news is it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, the entire game is basically black and white with like spots of colour. Think of like Sin City.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at a screenshot now. It's in black
As you
and white.
take back each area of the district, it returns colour to that area.
Ah. You got a gun.
Yeah, and you've got guns, you've got bombs, and all these other different bits and bobs, and you go around like taking patrols, blowing up and sabotaging like certain things, and you're free, just like most of the Assassin's Creeds, to actually go around and do those as you want to. Plan out your attack and work your strategy out, etc.
It's on PC and Xbox Game Pass under EA Play.
It's
so
the
there you go.
last game I believe that Pandemic made, which before EA got rid of them, and obviously these are the people that made Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront back in the day, and
the original ones. Yeah.
It caused a little bit of controversy at the start when it first came out, because if you purchased it, you got a code in there to unlock the nudity in the game.
Hell.
Which otherwise was locked out. It was almost like not a season pass or sort of say the online pass thing, but it was a way of sort of like making sure that if you bought it second hand, you'd miss out on some titties or something, because your base of operations is basically like a brothel.
Oh, why did you tell me this before? I'll download the game right now.
But it's a really good fun game that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it's got a lot of the old like 19 sort of like 30s 40s music in it.
Oh, very good.
So you got like Etta James and people like that in there, and you're driving around in like ye oldie stuff. I do really like. It's kind of weird. The older I've gotten, I take more interest in historical periods.
Yeah.
Rather, when I was a kid, I was all like modern, guns, Whereas it's like, no, take me back to a period of time I can't experience anymore.
Well, I've kind of swung the other way, because maybe it's just to do with like COD and Battlefield, but they went back and they did the World War II thing for at least for COD and Battlefield got played out for too long, and I wanted to go back to modern, and finally we've had a contemporary Modern Warfare game, and I'm like, yay, it's modern. It's set in 2022. The campaign's literally like October 2022.
Now you want to go back to World War II again?
No, I don't. I'm very happy with Modern Warfare, thank you. I think we've seen enough World War II shooters for a while. Like, we had a period there where there was a World War II shooter about one a year. So, in terms of the FPS genre, I don't need to see any more historic ones for a while. But some other genres, I wouldn't mind seeing some more, like, different time periods. Like, I really enjoyed playing Mafia, the remaster. I think I played it last year.
Mafia was fantastic, yeah. I really enjoyed Mafia and Mafia 2. Mafia 2, that was 360, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. The first one was PC only. Or no, was it PC and PS2? Maybe?
Possibly.
I never played it originally. I played it last year for the first time. I played the remaster, and the remaster was fantastic.
Yeah, I did. Did you? I mean, I didn't know because I only ever played 2.
I played 2 and 3. I hadn't played 1.
I don't know if at the end of Mafia 1 remastered, like the thing where the guys from Mafia 2 turn up and kill you. I was like, wow! I never knew that actually happened. I don't know if that was in the original or they just added that extra bit.
Isn't the guy from Mafia 2 in Mafia 3?
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
Vito.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he is. He's one of like the crime bosses. It's set like 20, 30 years later.
Yeah, I generally don't finish many open world sort of GTA cloney type of games. I think it's like Saints Row I usually finish, and like
I was going to mention
2 was one of them.
One of the games I like was Saints Row the Third, because it's a GTA clone that went a bit silly. But
you start off in Mafia 2, don't you? Fighting in the on the side of the Italians in the Second World War.
yes, you do. I forgot about that.
And then you come back, and it's an interesting game because the first part of the game, it's all set during Christmassy time. So like the world is like covered in snow and things like that, and you even get like random things like NPCs will like slip over in the snow. And
do you remember you had to do those missions where you had to drive around and get ration coupons?
Yes, that rings a bell.
Just to set up like the time period it was in. You had to get ration
That was where you had to like sneak into a place to steal like the books as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that was right. And then you could find there was the Playboy magazines with the collectibles.
Yes, and they were actually based on official old Playboy magazines, weren't they?
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Cool. Yeah, Saints Row 2 is probably one of my, if not my favourite open world GTA clone ever. The customization in that game is still absolutely unparalleled in anything as of yet.
It's a shame to see what it's become.
Playing that co-op online was so fucking fun.
Apart from the fact that I co-opted with it with my mate, and he played through the story and I was playing it in his game, so we both advanced the storyline properly. Yet when I load back into my game, even though I've basically finished the game, my base still looks like the fucking shithole that like level 1.
Yeah.
Like it hadn't ever leveled up like it had in my mate's game. So I was just like, oh, that's bollocks. Early issue, but
Don't love it when games do that. They only give the progress to the host.
Yeah, you had like so many varied locations in 2 as well, didn't you? You had like an underground entire shopping mall, you had like caves that you could go and explore and all sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because originally everyone who played Saints Row 2 was like, oh, it's the city from the first game again. Yeah. It's literally like the exact same city again, but it's obviously developed differently and things have changed, and it was interesting to look around the areas that had changed. Like I think your old hood from the original game had basically been demolished and like newer buildings had gone up there and things, but yeah.
Good times.
Can I just bang through mine? I've only got like 3 left.
I'll go for it, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll put Fable 2 and 3. Obviously, I really liked Fable 1.
I never got stuck into 2, but I played the heck out of 3.
Yeah, and you'll find out 3 is the worst one out of all 3.
Oh, I've been told.
Ending was... I mean, you talk about the ending of Mass Effect 3. The ending of that was just terrible. It's just like... because you became king, and it was
that's about halfway through the game, right? And then the other half of the game, you make decisions as the king that impact everyone in the world, right?
Yeah, but you have to make them to keep everybody happy or get money, and if you don't get enough money, everybody dies. So it's like
that's right. Yeah, you have to have enough in the treasury to mount a defense against the dark forces or whatever.
Yeah, and if you don't have enough money, everybody dies.
So you have to pick like 3 decisions that fuck people over and 2 decisions that people like.
Yeah, which is weird to me. It's like.
I guess that's that's realistic though in a way, isn't it? Because you can't make everyone happy as a leader.
Yeah, but I liked Fable 2, just running around doing all the missions with my dog, because I gave you a dog, and it was like, oh, I think the choice was at the end. Do you want your, was it your sister or the dog to die? Or I was like, obviously the sister. My dog ain't dying. I'm keeping my dog.
Oh no.
Yeah, but
I also haven't finished Fable 2. I started playing it a few months ago.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if it's sister.
Maybe
your sister or your wife. I can't remember.
It's fine.
No, actually, I think Fable 1 was you had to choose between your sister and someone else, but basically they always give you a choice at the end of the game. Sure. And obviously you can't let a little doggy die, can you? He gets your bones, then you walk around and press buttons and fart and burp and then pretend you're a chicken. So I'm a chicken chaser, but those are good, and I mean, what was it? Playground Games are doing Fable reboot, whatever.
Yeah, I thought they were a bit of an odd pick.
Yeah, it's in development hell, apparently. They've had loads of people leave and get fired, and they announced that before Horizon 5, so I'm like, we're getting that before her Horizon game, and then they announced that, and I'm like, just put it on the back burner.
I was in chat with Webby during E3 when they were doing the Xbox showcase. Or not E3, you know what? But the Xbox showcase. The E3 didn't happen this year, did it?
Yeah.
They didn't say beforehand until the show had started it was going to be games coming out in the next 12 months. So for the week leading up to that conference, I've been like, Fable, we're going to see Fable, we're going to see Fable, we're going to see Fable. And then when the conference started, they were like, and here are the games coming out in the next year. And I was like, oh, well, if we see Fable, that's good news. And then Fable wasn't in the conference, and I was like, well, Fable's at least 12 months away then.
Yeah,
Fuck.
a bit longer.
Fable 3 was 2010, damn it.
Yep. But hey, we'll get one
Yeah.
eventually, but hopefully.
Oh.
But yeah, so those are good. Ghostbusters, the video game.
Oh,
Yeah, that
what
got
a
mentioned
game!
last week. I remember
That was
that one.
such
A good one.
a good game. That is
Yeah,
basically Ghostbusters
fantastic game.
3. I had
Yeah, I
all the
love that
voice.
game.
I'm pretty sure it had everyone's voice acting in it. I'm pretty sure it was.
I
But
think it did.
such good. It got a HD whatever port on the net, PS4 and Xbox. I think that's probably the easiest way to play it. But it never. I've been watching it. It never goes on sale.
Yeah,
It's like 30 odd quid or however much it is, and because I've got it already on 360, but I want to play it on the newer consoles, but I don't like the idea of spending 30 quid on something like that. It used to go cheap on CD keys, but they're all sold out. I just always thought it'd go on sale on the Halloween thing, but it just never does.
I played it probably 10, 11 years ago. I know it was a single player game. Could someone else control one of the other Ghostbusters? Could you do co-op, or was it just single player?
There was loads of. I think it was 4-player co-op.
Was it?
I thought it was
I think I played it by myself. I didn't know if it was.
Yeah,
co-op,
because there's 4 Ghostbusters in the.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty sure it was either 2 or 4 player. I mean, I could.
I'll look it up. Hold up.
You look it up, and then because that's really important, and I can't see it now, which is annoying. I really should put all my stuff in alphabetical at Ghostbusters, the video game, right next to Lollipop Chainsaw. Co-op 2 to 4 players.
there you
Oh,
go.
right. Wow.
Yep,
I
and
don't know
online.
that I ever played it with other people.
Yep, online multiplayer 2 to 4 players as well. So it was local co-op.
I played the multiplayer. It was a bit.
Was it? What was it like? One ghost
like
versus 4 Ghostbusters?
No, I think it was like co-op ghostbusting kind of thing, but you had to both be in tandem to capture the ghosts.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but this was actually written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis as well. When it says basically Ghostbusters 3, but really good game. Definitely get that. I think that's on Switch as well. They've put it on Switch as well, so it's maybe the best place to get
Harold
it.
Ramis passed away, didn't he?
Yeah, and they made him a ghost in the last one, which was sad but nice way because they're getting good
I
with
enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was basically Stranger Things / Ghostbusters, wasn't it?
I had a private screening of Ghostbusters Afterlife. I saw it many weeks after it came out in the cinema, and I saw it on like a Tuesday afternoon at about 1 o'clock, and I had an empty cinema, and it was a very cool experience.
I watched it in my house because I'm a dirty pirate.
Ah, I see.
Naughty.
You're the one who told me it was out,
like that. No, I'd never do something like that.
You sent me the link.
Right, moving on.
Last one for me, LA Noire.
That was on my list. What a game!
Yeah,
I played the remaster about 4 years ago. It still holds up. What a game!
I think they changed it a bit. Like when you interrogating, it's sometimes hard to read their faces. Whether it's easier to read the faces, but when it says, I doubt him, I don't think he's telling the truth, and you press doubt, and then Cole just jumps up and starts screaming him and want to punch him in the face. I said, no, just doubt him. Don't,
The problem I had with the doubt and lie is if they were lying and you hit doubt, you could still be wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because doubting that they're telling the truth isn't the same as outright calling them out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You say I doubt they're telling the truth, and he jumps up and outright calls them a liar. I was like, well, that's not what I selected.
I'm poking for more. I'm poking for more information before I call them out.
Other than that, the story was good. Obviously, I want to say there was a plot twist that Cole was a dirty, cheating, bloody 2-time and git on his missus.
Yeah, because he seemed like very the whole
stand-up
first
guy.
3 quarters of the game. He seemed very stand up, very clean, very polite to everyone he met. Then it turns out he's like an alcoholic and a cheater.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Plus, like
okay.
some, especially that this was what I think there was quite a few of them. I think we had it before, but having real, actors in the game. So it's like, oh, that's the bloke from Heroes. That's the bloke from here, and and they actually started to look like them as well. I mean, obviously they do that a lot more.
We haven't got a second game.
Yeah, well, I think didn't the team
a hell of a lot, wasn't it? Rockstar Bondi or something, wasn't it, that made it?
Yeah,
Team
Bondi.
Yeah, and I think that loads of negative came out. It was not the only one, but like one of the first big ones where they said people were crunching, spending 14, 15 hours a day at work, sleeping at their desks, and basically everyone who was working there, by some of their bosses, they were getting threatened to be fired and stuff like that. So it wasn't, the nicest and easiest of development to get it out. So I think the whole team got sort of disbanded and left afterwards. So
I remember what a joy that game was, in that some of those clues were so fucking hard to find. They were so well hidden. They'd be like behind a bin or like on the corner of a roof, and it rewarded you for like really looking. And then when you do your interview, you get out your notebook and you press lie, and you got your list of like statements the person's made or the evidence you found, and you felt really smart when you like crossed two evidences together, and you're like, this is one thing.
Going through all like I think everyone says the arson cases were a bit bad. Obviously, the homicide, going poking dead naked
homicide
ladies
and
was
Vice.
Fun. And
Vice was good too.
Just some of the details, like you're walking and then you step over like the dead naked body, and the guy who's there taking pictures, he's like, "Cole, have some respect." And I was like, "Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that."
Yeah, this is an active crime scene. Can you not interfere?
Yeah,
my bad.
And then you're just like going through all their dead bodies, looking in all the pockets and stuff, trying to nick everything.
Sort of negative on the game, and it's a minor negative. I think compared to GTA, the driving was.
I was going to say, it's a bit soft when it's.
It's still the same in the remaster. It's not really changed. It's it's better than Mafia's driving.
I think because you're listening to the conversations as well, you're not focusing completely on the drive. And I remember because this was one of the first games I streamed, like early on, because you read and chat, and you're like, "Oh, I've crashed," so don't read your phone and drive, kids. You will crash. And real life is not as fun as in the video game. But yeah, that's me done on all the games, because I think we've talked about all of them.
All right, I've got a couple more I just want to briefly mention. Dragon Age. What an RPG game.
I'm going to get some flack in a second.
What are you going to say? Oh, shit.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say, as far as it goes, I played 2 hours of 2, thought it was sucked. Never played Inquisition, and I've played the intro section about 4 times, but I've never beat the game.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, look, 2 was shit though, right? Like everyone agrees on that one.
I seem to remember Origins being one of my favourites.
Origins the first one, right?
The problem is I've tried playing it in like 2016 and it hadn't aged very well, and I didn't play it when it first came out. That was the problem.
Well, the graphics weren't amazing back then either. On it, to be fair.
And I hear Inquisition's really good, but I've just never sat down and taken the time to play it.
Another game, I own them all, never played them.
Wow.
I liked what I did play of Origins. I just it felt clunky and it didn't look great. And that was because it came out like 2011 or 2008 or 2011, whatever it was, and I tried playing it 5 years after the fact at least.
Wow.
Yeah. Some games don't age as well as others.
No, very true. Brink. You can't talk about 360 without talking about Brink. What a game!
Promised so much and it delivered on everything.
And I took it back. I traded it in. I played it for 2 hours and I took it back and I traded it in. What a piece of shit.
Oh,
it was going to reinvent FPS games.
Oh my god, what a terrible game.
So, do we put that up?
Fun with it for a couple of days, I guess.
We put that in with Aliens Colonial Marines, so we chuck that in with that.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna say, if you put me in a room and you said, Elliot, you got to play one of these games for 5 hours. You got to play Brink, you got to play Colonial Marines, or you got to play Duke Nukem Forever. I think I'd pick Duke Nukem Forever.
I liked Duke Nukem Forever.
I
think
didn't
I'm the
mind
only
it, to be
one.
honest. It was all right. I don't think it was very crude. I think the picking up the shit and throwing it at the mirror was a bit ugh.
Why did you do that then?
Because you can.
Let me guess, you did it for an achievement.
Yeah.
For games that shouldn't have been anywhere near as good as they were.
Yep.
I just want to toss 50 Cent Blood in the Sand.
What a game!
I never played,
so good.
never played it. What kind of game was it? I never played it.
Third-person shooter.
Oh.
It was brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant.
But it was done really well, and you could unlock different swear words to hurl at the enemies while you were shooting.
Oh, that is cool. I was going to say, there's a game I want to throw out there that no one's mentioned. Well, it's a pair of games. Prototype. Who liked Prototype?
Oh, Prototype.
I fucking loved Prototype. Prototype 1 was good. Prototype 2 just kind of did everything better. You got more powers. You could like kill more people. It was fucking gory as well. When you like the way you like consumed people or like broke them down into like bloody mush. Fuck, I love Prototype.
I always confused that with the PS4 game. What was it? Infamous. I always thought that was the same game.
I
always thought that was the same game for some reason.
No.
I never played that one.
Now, I just liked how dark it got, because your character in 1, he's like, he's pretty grungy, pretty moody, and then he gets the infection, and then as the game goes on, he just becomes a fucking sociopath. It's great. And then in the second one, you play as a different guy, and you're hunting down the guy from the first game, and you both become these like overpowered like super monsters by the end of it. And I really liked that you could like take on the appearance of the NPCs and run around as like an old woman, but then you had like the fucking demon wings come out of you. Oh fuck! I need a Prototype 3. It's been years. Loved Prototype.
What happened, mate?
Another quality gem on the 360. I believe it was on the PS3 as well. Earth Defense Force Insect Armageddon.
Oh yes, I remember you absolutely loving that game, man. That
it's
was
fucking fantastic. It's just so B-movie over the top, and like the amount of enemies and stuff on screen, and there was like character progression and unlocks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it a lot with, I think, maybe Rubbish username and like Dan and maybe a few other people.
Yeah.
Speaking of great open worlds, I just want to give a nice doff of the cap to a game that we all thought was going to be complete shit because it was related to true crime, which, let's be real, wasn't a fantastic game series. Sleeping Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs, what a game! That was so good.
I didn't play it till the Xbox One version, and I don't think I ever actually finished it, but I did enjoy what I played.
It's got a great narrative and story.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty much like a John Woo film.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a game I'd forgotten about that was on the 360 until I started writing my list here, and it may have got talked about last week, maybe in passing, but I feel like it deserves being mentioned. Deus Ex: Human Revolution.
Oh, Deus Ex was so good. Yeah.
What a game! Like I don't. It's like it's basically the better Cyberpunk, isn't it? It's like you imagine if Cyberpunk had like branching paths and like dialogue, like the way that game does.
Yeah.
It did a lot of things better than Cyberpunk did, and Cyberpunk I think should have built upon what Deus Ex was, and I think in some ways it did, in some ways it ran in the opposite direction. But how cool was it? Like you could like walk in and you could like find a cop in the station and you could talk to him and he'd be like, oh, you know, I'm pissed off with the chief, here's his password, and then you could like circumvent whole boss fights by like just talking to people. You could beat boss fights without shooting people. It just gave you choice. And it was fucking cool where you put the cybernetics on and you could like see through the walls. Oh my god. And Mankind Divided was good too. Just I think Human Revolution
was really good.
They are apparently working on a new one, aren't they?
Good.
All I can remember about that
is I bonded over.
All I can remember about that is Webby constantly calling it Day of Sex.
Day of Sex, Poon and Revolution.
Not like
Well, let's,
Kingdoms of Anal or the Rectum.
Kingdoms of Anal or the Rectuming, yes.
Good one.
The rectoning.
Yeah.
Oh, we
what
are
a
so
game.
grown up, aren't we?
I know.
Oh.
Typical gamer lads, aren't we?
Yeah,
Alright,
this is gonna be a long episode. 3 hours, eh?
Oh no, right. I want to rinse through a couple of more. It's one of the best co-op games I've ever played, and Peebs will agree with me with this because we played it together. Kane and Lynch.
Oh,
I
God.
thought you was going to say
Never played it.
Wolfenstein Youngblood.
I thought you were going to say Army of Two, to be honest, because I did play that recently in
good.
co-op, and that
Army
was
of
fun.
Two was great. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I never played Kane and Lynch.
I don't know if you've played Spec Ops: The Line or talked about that yet.
Yeah, that's a fantastic game.
Never played it, but I have watched the whole
Wow.
thing on YouTube.
Oh,
But I've
fair
watched
enough.
the whole thing on YouTube. I watched an entire playthrough of it. Never
Oh
bought it.
man, yeah, Kane and Lynch was great. All right,
What is Kane and Lynch is just like a third-person co-op shooter?
yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
can't believe you never played it.
Look, there was a few of those that I just kind
know.
of missed. You gotta remember when I had a 360, I was a kid without a job. Like I had to trade my games to get new games. Like I depended on trade-ins. I didn't have money.
Now we all have money and we don't have time to play them.
I
Speak
know,
for
mate.
yourself, I've got
But it's just
plenty
like
of time.
the 360 was like the greatest generation for co-op games. In my
Oh,
opinion.
absolutely.
Like nothing has beaten that yet.
Yeah, it made online gaming pretty much.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did. Yeah. All right, I've got a few more games I just want to briefly mention. A game that was very underrated on the 360, Homefront. I fucking love that game.
I actually quite like the first campaign, the first one. I never played the other ones, or the second one. I heard it sucked. There was a second one, right? On the Xbone?
Yeah, that wasn't as good though. Like the original one was
No.
fantastic.
I like the story. Is that you fight North Koreans, right?
Yeah, it's just like an alternate history, and America's been
Yeah.
invaded, and yeah, it was
No, I
just
quite enjoyed
really
Homefront.
good. Yeah.
The multiplayer was alright. Just
Yeah.
kind of your stock standard FPS. But yeah, no, Homefront was cool. I like that
Yeah.
one.
Metro 2033, absolutely love that game. I've played it twice now. Played the remastered version.
I
Love the
didn't play
Metros.
them until the Redux versions on the Xbox One. But they were fantastic, both of them, Last Light and 2033.
Yeah. One game that's vastly underrated on the 360, which I absolutely loved, Clive Barker's Jericho.
That was like right near the release, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I loved it, man.
Yeah, never played it. What is it?
It's like a horror game.
Ooh.
First person.
Yeah, weren't you like a squad of like demon hunters or something
Yeah.
like that from hell
Yeah.
or something bizarre?
Yeah, it was just really odd, but I liked it because it was odd, you know? Such a good game. And another game that was vastly underrated was Singularity.
Oh, his Singularity is fantastic. I
Yeah.
could completely ruin that game, but I'm not gonna because I thought the ending of that was quite
Yeah.
interesting and weird.
It was so good.
But
I
I
never
did
played
love
it.
the time mechanic where you could
Yes.
basically you could speed time up and degrade things, or you could reverse time and repair them.
Yeah.
And they added that into puzzle elements, and I think it also had a sniper rifle where you could guide the ammunition as well, similar to what you could end up doing in like Bulletstorm a bit later on. Or there was a gun where you could like direct bullets after you'd fired them into people and stuff. It was very, very Bioshock. Just think of Bioshock in Russia.
Yeah.
Bit of Bioshock, bit of Wolfenstein, smash it all together. Off you go. We had Bayonetta and Vanquish as well, both in the 360 era. Two huge
Yes.
action-based Japanese titles.
So
There was a
good.
game
Really well.
I heard you mention on the podcast quite a lot, and I've never played it, but I'm guessing it's good. Alpha Protocol, any good?
Yeah, I didn't really like it, but
There's
it did have a cult following. Let's put it that way.
yeah, I never played it. Is it worth giving it a go or?
I mean, the graphics were shit then, so you'd probably make your eyes bleed now.
Yeah, apparently, I think a lot of people liked it for the choices and stuff that were actually presented in the game. I think it was another game that actually had.
Yeah, I like games that branch.
Making.
Isn't it the same people
really
that did
do.
Fallout Vegas? Who did Alpha Protocol?
I'm not too sure. It was published by Sega, wasn't it, if I recall?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was made by the same team, though.
Obsidian. Yeah, you're right. It's the people who did Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
2010 as well, same year.
I think it was Obsidian's first game, or one of their first games, right?
And they made South Park Stick of Truth as well,
which was fucking amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Did someone mention Shadows of the Damned when we
were? What a game!
Loved
Shadows of the Damned.
Suda51, wasn't it? I think was behind that.
Yeah.
I've got a game that I know no one's mentioned, and I'm very surprised it's not been mentioned. But maybe that's because it has an older or a younger brother that dwarfs it in every way. The Witcher 2.
Yeah, Witcher 2.
What a game!
Had a fantastic edition on the 360, if I recall. It's quite a hefty package, wasn't it?
That's what she said.
It's the man. I had played The Witcher 2 on and off or not long after it came out, and I never got into it. And then 3 was coming out, and I was like, no, I'm going to sit down here. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play this game because I've heard it's one of the best games. And I sat there and I powered through Witcher 2 over the course of a week, and I just I didn't realize until I looked it up afterwards. There's the branching in that game. It makes a small difference. You ultimately get to the same point, but you can have people dead, or you can have people blinded, or you can have people not in the finale of that game. So it was kind of like the precursor to, it came out in 2010. It came out the same year as Mass Effect 2. So it kind of took the whole your choices have impact on the overall narrative thing and ran with it. But then you could import your save into Witcher 3, and of course that had impact on that world. And the Witcher 3 branching just evolved from that, because Witcher 3, there's 5 different endings, and each of them have about 3 different versions. But Witcher 2, I thought the combat was lovely. I thought the environments were very cool, and because it wasn't a massive open world, it was zone based. So you had a town, and then you step out across the map, and each chapter was set in an area. I think it gave them the ability to flesh out the areas a bit more with the side quests. Whereas 3, I think, while yes, it's a huge game, it's you can go through countryside for 20 minutes before you hit another town.
I heard Witcher 2 was brutally hard though, especially.
Oh my god, it fucking was. Yeah. Oh, that's why it took me a few attempts at playing it to beat the thing. Because I think when I first tried to play it, I was a bit too young, and I wasn't too good at the combat's it's not as fast as 3. It's a bit more you have to think about it. It's not quite turn based, but it's slower. It's slower. 3 is very much you can sort of spam your sword, and for the most part you'll win.
Yeah.
2 you kind of have to really use your potions and use your magic.
Speaking of hard games, I just come across the game.
Yeah, go on.
It was pretty damn hard and very punishing on the 360. Knight's Contract.
What's that?
Oh yes, I've got that, but I don't think I actually played it.
It's pretty rock hard. It was basically you're an undead soldier who's been brought back to life to protect a female witch. Now, if you remember games where you basically have a section of the game where you've got to protect an NPC that's following you around, that was the whole game. So the whole game was like a giant escort mission.
Oh,
and it was
awful.
Very hard and difficult. Published by Bandai Namco. I'm not entirely too sure who actually made the game. Oh, it was just Bandai Namco, I believe.
Okay.
But there was a really cool trailer for it, if I don't know you remember, with witches and stuff, fighting against each other, demons and such. But yeah, I got quite a way through it. In fact, I also beat one of the bosses in the game that a lot of people were like, this is the most infuriating boss I've ever fought ever.
Oh, wow.
In a video game.
Well done, mate.
And I was like, oh, I've done it. got past that point. I
Excellent.
think I have the achievement to prove it as well. Obviously, the
Excellent.
orange box,
Yeah.
best valued package in all of gaming. I don't think you'll ever find anything that comes close to that.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
good
Value.
ports as well. Very good ports. So they
Yeah,
managed
they
to get
are.
those
Yeah,
from
yeah.
PC onto there.
Oh yeah,
I mean-
Team Fortress 2. That was a good one.
Well, that spawned a massive following just literally from that, didn't it? It's amazing. Everyone bought it for
Half-Life.
Half-Life, and episode 1 and stuff, and episode 2, but yet it was the 2 bundled games on top of that really took off, like Team Fortress and Portal.
It's a shame, like, because I was actually a massive fan of Team Fortress Classic on the PC back in the day, and like Team Fortress 2 was just a shit imitation, in my opinion. Yeah, that's what I get for being an old school hardcore gamer. I actually don't have any other games on my list that I want to talk about.
That's good.
I've got like a handful that I'll just fire like the names off and maybe a one sentence.
Oh,
so we
I've just seen one when I've moved my games. I've just found another fucking hidden gem I have to mention.
Go on then.
Go on.
Binary Domain.
Oh yes,
that's the one. I didn't mean Alpha Protocol when I was asking about it. I meant
right.
Binary Domain. I get them mixed up. I did that. I meant Binary Domain. That's the one people love.
It's fucking fantastic, that
I have
game.
never played it. I've heard good things.
It was made by the team behind the Yakuza games, wasn't it?
Ah.
But again, it was like one of these ones where it was kind of like a team-based shooter. You end up with a variety of different people that join your group, and certain actions you take in the game will improve your relationships with certain characters. And I believe that it also affected the ending as well to some degree. I just remember that some of the boss battles in that were fucking great. There was one where you're hanging out the back of a van on a freeway. No, I think it might have only been single player. It had like a weird gimmick where you could use Kinect or your headset to issue the commands to your team without pushing buttons.
I vaguely remember playing
hanging out at the back of a van on a freeway, and you end up with this giant robot like landing on the freeway behind you, like with a massive tire. Reminded me of like out of Transformers 2, I think it is.
Awesome.
And you're shooting the crap out of it out the back. It was one of my games of the year that year, I believe. I think it was also one of the games I reviewed for the website back in the day.
Oh wow, remember that?
Retro.
Remember websites when people used to read websites? Not anymore.
And what was the other game I reviewed? Where you're basically like a bloke with a samurai sword and you was attacking people.
You know, I can't remember.
And it was like very like Shadows of the Damned-ish. You were the one who sent it to me, Webby. You got the promo and
Killer is Dead.
Killer is Dead. That's it.
Oh, was that it? Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I think they got a sequel recently.
Killer is still dead.
Killer is dead again.
Up as well after I mailed it back to you.
I've got that
thingy copy.
I liked Shadows of the Damned, but then the bloke had loads of Tottenham Hotspur references in it, so I was like, "Fuck you."
Did it?
Yeah.
All right.
Random. Any other games, guys? Before we move on to
I've got
other people?
I've got a couple, but I won't sit and talk about them. I'll just kind of rattle through them so that we can move on with our lives. Because we could talk about. I mean, we've barely scratched the surface. We've probably talked about 20% of the games, if that, of all the games.
Haven't even mentioned the Silent Hill games that were on the system either.
Never played a Silent Hill game in my life. So
what? None of them.
The Silent Hill, the Room.
I'm gonna play the remake of 2. I'll play that. Sorry.
To be fair, that's probably the best one anyway.
Yeah, it's alright. I'll play the remaster of it. Couple games I just wanted to rattle off. Batman: Arkham Asylum and City. I'm sure they probably got mentioned, but
yes, yeah, amazing.
Borderlands 2. I know you wrote Borderlands on your list there, Webby, but specifically 2. I think that's my favourite one. I think it's most people's favourite one.
Yeah.
Dead Island. That was a good co-op game.
Fucking hell. Yeah, that was great. I completely forgot about that one.
Dead Island 2 next year.
Woo!
Yeah, that was good. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. That was a very good Star Wars
1
game.
and 2, they're good games.
Yeah.
I preferred the second one, I must admit. I think I got the arse with the first game because there was a thing in there for collecting all of the different things on the levels.
Yeah.
And I pressed through all the levels, and one of them had glitched and it hadn't counted, and it fucked
I
my
remember
achievement for getting all the
it's
items,
very
and I was
cool
like,
because you could unlock different character outfits or skins. So you could play as like Chewbacca with a lightsaber, you know, cutting people down, or you could be like C-3PO with a lightsaber. So you could play as like various characters, and then the DLCs didn't it have like these alternate histories where like Luke Skywalker got killed in Empire instead.
Okay.
It was
I remember
yeah.
fighting Han Solo and Chewbacca in, I think it was the second game, and then you fight
Yeah.
against Luke or Leia at the end of like
Yeah.
one of the levels as well. I think it was a DLC.
Yeah.
You're right, because it was the Endor mission, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it would have been Empire then. Couple more I just wanted to rattle off. In terms of Call of Duties, I mean, the 360 I think was Call of Duty's heyday. Some favourites. Modern Warfare 2, Spec Ops and multiplayer and campaign, just a fantastic package. I think the original one's better than the new one, sorry. But I like the new one too though. Black Ops 1, campaign, multiplayer, zombies, all of them were fucking fantastic.
Ice Cube for the win.
So many hours in the zombies. The maps were fantastic. Do you remember that one with it was called Call of the Dead? It had George Romero as a giant, like 8-foot zombie with a with a spotlight, and he was swinging at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it had Robert Englund in it, and was it Sarah Michelle Gellar as well in that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Buffy.
And then obviously Modern Warfare, just fucking. That was the game that made me overheat my Xbox because I was glued to the multiplayer on that. The maps were beautiful. Loved everything about COD 4, and I think Modern Warfare 2 just built upon that.
Yeah.
And Black Ops 2 actually had a really good zombies mode too, and multiplayer. Because they did near future. They did like 2025, but they did this in like 2012. So they didn't have the jetpacks and shit, but everything was a bit more teched up. And yeah, I like those ones. Those are probably my favourites. Dishonored, I know it got briefly touched on last week, but I think Dishonored 1 is a fantastic game in every regard, and I love games that like you don't even necessarily make choices, just the way you approach the targets and how you take them out. If you kill them or you kill them non-lethally, if you kill more people, more rats come into the city, and that impacts the ending because everyone gets infected with a rat plague. But if you like a non-lethal, then not as many rats come out because there's not as many corpses in the street. So then you can save the city. Dishonored was a brilliant game. I love the second one. And the Death of the Outsider spin-off one as well. They're all great.
Can I
two
just
more.
mention something that's
Still
popped
wish
into
they
my mind?
had Series S upgrades though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 2 left, but yeah, go on.
Yeah.
What is it?
Deadly Premonition.
I haven't played it, but you know what? I bought it on the Switch and I have it downloaded, so I will at some point. I will. I
just have fond memories of everyone like just talking about it because it was so bad it was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm in for with it, to be honest, because I bought it on the Switch a while back when it was on sale, and you were like, "Oh, that's a good one," and I said, "Is it?" And you said, "Well, it's something."
Yeah. Very much. Sorry.
I think it's just unique more than anything. There's not.
Yeah. What kind of game is it, or am I better just finding it out?
Find out, mate, because it is fucking weird.
Detective.
Oh, okay.
And
he loves movies, and he talks to himself, but it's actually you. Yeah, it's really, it is interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I'm interested. Last 2. Obviously, we were talking about co-op games earlier, and I'm sure it's come up, but Portal 2 was just a fucking fantastic game.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Avatar Awards, because Portal 2 was one of the first games to do Avatar Awards, and so was Gears 3. When you unlock stuff, and then it gave you like outfits for your avatar. Obviously, that one was on PS3 and PC as well as multi-plat, but many hours played in co-op on Portal 2. Very enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Last one, obviously GTA's been mentioned 4 and 5, and I know we've talked about Red Dead very briefly, but I had a lot of fun on Red Dead Online on the multiplayer on the first one. Barely touched. Oh, yeah, you say that. I don't really remember doing cattle herding. I remember doing horse racing. I remember doing like poker. I remember doing the. Do you remember the gang shootouts where it'd be like 5-on-5 and it'd be like draw, and then you all like started the match by like doing a duel, and you had a person opposite you, and like you got a point whether you won your duel or not. And that was how every match started, and then you'd be like shootouts at the saloon or whatever.
There was a couple of interesting achievements as well, wasn't there? Where I remember one of them was something like ride from this certain village to Mexico from sun up to sundown or something.
Yeah, I played a lot of Red Dead Online, and I'm fairly sure I have that achievement.
I heard at one point last year, more people were playing the original Red Dead Online and Red Dead 2 Online.
I tell you
Wouldn't
now, I played
surprise
about
me.
3 hours of Red Dead 2 Online. It was just a buggy, fucking boring mess. Whereas Red Dead 1 Online just had charm, and it didn't have all this like cash and gold bar bullshit or whatever. You just
Yeah.
unlock stuff by leveling up, and that was it. You just had to play a level.
Yeah.
And you could like play poker, you could like shoot people. What I like to do was with my friends, we would get on the roof of the Blackwater Saloon, and then as players would approach the town on their horse, we try and snipe them off their horse. That was good fun.
Awesome.
And I've just thought one more. It only because of how much of an impact it had. Minecraft Xbox 360 edition.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That, I mean, look, you think about it though. How popular did that game turn out to be? So much so that Microsoft bought them.
I know.
It
Yeah.
it was one of the most popular online games for 360.
Opening
It
day
was.
that we played that when Colin literally
yeah.
turned around when we were straight in there, and he's like, "What the fucking hell is this? What are we doing?"
It's got nothing on Fortress Craft, dude.
No, but seriously, because I remember it came out on PC in 2011, the full version, Minecraft, and then 2012 it came out on 360. And I just remember my friends list was like, you know, out of 50 people, there was like 30 of them playing Minecraft at one point.
Yeah.
It was the game for months.
Yeah.
And then it went on to be so big. It went on all the other platforms.
Now,
and then it's huge. Microsoft acquired them because obviously they saw the potential. They paid some dumb number. Was it like? Did they pay them like $2 billion?
Or something
No, was it $2
stupid.
billion?
Wow.
Yeah, Notch is like swimming in like gold coins forever.
Yeah.
I don't know what Notch is doing these days. He made Minecraft. He sold it to Microsoft, and he's living off the residuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that game was huge, and that was on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest game I'd say Xbox Live Arcade had. That and Trials Evolution.
Oh yeah, I remember the Trials was good, man. Yeah,
I did say one more, and then I snuck another one in there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Trials Evolution and Trials HD, and then later on you had Trials Fusion.
Yeah.
And there was another one, but they were all. I love those Trials games because the best bit was like the leaderboard and seeing how you could beat your friends and if you could beat their times.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have games like that anymore where you like compete on the leaderboards and you really care about the standings. I know Dan and his Pac-Man and stuff, and the pinball tables, I guess, is probably what we got left for that, right?
Yeah.
The pinball table.
Yeah, but we
just don't have that kind of leaderboard.
Yeah, pinball.
We just don't have that kind of leaderboard competition anymore.
No.
And Trials is
remember,
one of those kind of games.
An obscure Sega game that was released early on during the 360 era. I think it was PS3 as well, I imagine, and that was all leaderboard based because it was literally like a time trial. It's called The Club.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
It was a third-person shooter where you basically got from point A to point B through a level, and it was like a shooting gallery.
Oh,
and
I'm
you
looking
had
at this
different
now.
characters
I've seen this.
Different characters had different abilities, and you could shoot like clocks during the game to extend your time limit or your combo meter. And it was about racking up a really high score and getting to the end in a shortest amount of time as possible.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. It was a cool game, but you wouldn't get anything like that anymore.
That's what we're missing these days. Is like truly like competitive leaderboard games. Like trying to beat someone's time on trials was like, it was really good. Every time I beat Webby, it was like very gratifying. Like I beat him by 0.04 of a second. It's like, yeah, get in there.
Or
we don't really have
having
that anymore.
someone's arse cheeks on a billboard in a game because they got through it at the top speed or something.
Oh.
Wasn't that Need for Speed?
Did it take a picture with the vision camera?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
that
like
was
the
Burnout.
camera.
Burnout Paradise.
Wasn't it Clarky though stuck his butt cheeks on a billboard because there
Yeah,
was
it's
like
Burnout.
a time trial thing? That wasn't Burnout.
I'm sure
It was one of the Need for Speeds.
Oh.
Pretty sure of it.
Yeah. Wow. We've
Any
been a
other
long one, isn't it?
games? Any other games? Shall we move on to the questions? Shall I just move on to the questions?
Nothing on my list. Nothing that specifically jumps out. I'm sure I could rattle off more.
Well, COD crashed at the
BioShock
right
Trilogy,
time then.
they were great. Oh, COD crashed, did it?
Yeah, so now I'm going to read off
yeah.
what people say now, and then if you get any more ideas after, then feel free to put them in.
See if they might inspire us by what they say. It may trigger something.
So, St. Adams says, so many memories of the 360 to mention, but a few are playing Gears of War / Dead Rising and Condemned and thinking how amazing the games were. Playing online with people from other countries and still having them as friends to this day. Yeah, that's a big point there. The COD 4 lobbies and how no gamers today would ever be able to handle them. Another good point and very true. They'll probably go crying into their safe space.
Oh.
The OG Blade dashboard, which I think is still the best dashboard they ever made. And also, thanks to the 360, introduced me to this amazing podcast back in 2009. Fucking hell, I feel old.
I think that's when I started listening.
You are extremely old, though, Webby.
I know. 22. What's my tag says, the thing I love most about the 360 was the co-op experiences. So many amazing games played, co-op, split screen and online. Gears of War 1 and 2, Horde mode was incredible at the time. Halo 3, Army of 2, Resident Evil 5, Left 4 Dead, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Modern Warfare 2 Spec Ops, Rainbow Six Vegas 2, which he puts in brackets, is his all-time favourite co-op game. He says, I must have finished the Vegas 2 campaign about 20 times split screen. Actually rebought another brand new 360 2 years ago with a copy of Vegas 2 as a backup. Also, Guitar Hero and Rock Band, a genre of amazing games that came. Had 4 to 5 crazy popular years and died off so fast. I'd love another Guitar Hero. The controller was perfect. The console regularly died of Red Ring of Death. The original Blades were amazing. That gen had the music games and co-op games that we haven't had since. That's a good summary.
Yeah, and he's made me think of another game. Ghost Recon Future Soldier.
Oh, yeah, but not as good as the Graws, man.
See, Graw 2 was a little past my time. But Future Soldier came out while I had a 360. Yeah. That's a good one.
Okay, Venom says, live was in full effect with the 360. So many good nights spent on Project Gotham Racing, Rainbow Six 3, and Vegas 1 and 2. Yeah. D-Twin says, the 360, in his humble opinion, was the greatest era in gaming. Best multiplayer game for him was Black Ops. Single-player highlights are Gears of War, BioShock, Mass Effect 2, Skyrim, Dark Souls, Fallout 3 / blowing up Megaton every time. Lols.
That is the correct opinion. I agree with everything he said there.
Oh, and he also says the original Dead Rising was amazing, and his last thing was spending his days losing his mind trying to get the Mile High Club achievement on Modern Warfare.
I did it in like 45 minutes.
Oh,
it's not that bad.
Bastard.
Shut up, Sly.
Yeah.
It's because I got the young man reaction time.
Yeah, right. Mr. Jelly. He says the 360 is when I properly got into online gaming. Started with COD 3. To me, nothing will ever match having full lobbies full of friends on Modern Warfare 1 and 2. Loved playing Lost Planet online and pissing people off with the voice masking changing feature. I forgot about that. Sadly, the 360 is the last time I had amazing co-op experiences with friends. They all outgrew gaming and moved on. My favourite games are these: Oblivion, Stranglehold. Felt like I was the only person that loved Stranglehold. Also got to top of the online
That's the John Woo
leaderboards.
game, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
that
Yeah,
was good.
With Chow Yun Fat. Yeah, it was pretty great.
yeah. The Darkness, Gears of War, the Lost Planet trilogy, Mercenaries, Condemned, Brothers in Arms, Darksiders, and the Dead Space trilogy. Also including achievements was a huge game changer for me. Absolutely addicted to them. Even bought a Windows phone so I could get them on the go. Remember Mile High Club being a right badge of honour back then. I always thought doing World at War on Veteran was the biggest achievement though. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good,
World at War was a
yeah.
bitch on Veteran.
Yeah,
I would know. I've
Darksiders
done
was
it.
another great game out of the blue
It
as well.
was, yeah.
I
Using
can't believe
way
no one
better than
mentioned
people
the
expected
Kingdom
it.
for Keflings.
Oh, fucking hell.
What
What
on
a
earth?
shit
That
game.
Yeah, you made a little village. It was like Animal Crossing, but you used your avatars.
Mr. Jelly says I had a random memory pop up listening to all the Halo talk from part 1. Not sure if anyone else remembers this or did it, but on Halo 3 there was an achievement for getting so many sword kills in a row in a multiplayer match. It seemed pretty
Called
much
Step and
impossible.
Razor.
Okay. He says it seemed pretty much impossible at the time, so people started going to Asian servers. I'm sure it was Korean to boost the kills. People just line up to get killed or kill with the sword. Only thing was the achievement popped in whatever language the server you were on. That's quite funny.
I remember that achievement. I'm looking at my profile now. I want to see if I got it because it was fucked. You had to get
there
5
some
rapid fires.
There was
kills.
some achievements like that in Graw as well, Webby. I remember going into certain games.
Wasn't there one you had
like,
to be number 1 in the world?
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was weapons ones, and some of them were pretty brutal to the point where we just ended up having a whole night where it was like, right, you line up all in a row, and we'll have someone be like, pop, 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 because it was for killing X amount of people or something close to each other. I would look it up, but I remember that being quite funny, where you'd get together with mates to like boost achievements or try and get certain achievements out of the way. Like Gears had a few like that, didn't they? Like complete a game with everyone wearing a certain skin, and then you'd load into the game and 2 people have loaded in as Marcus Phoenix, even though they never chose that as their skin.
There's only a couple more things to read out though. Mr. Jelly says listening to part 1 reminded me that I couldn't play Dead Rising at first because I didn't have a HD TV. It made it unplayable if you wanted to follow the story because all the text was just a complete blur.
Yeah, I remember that, the text being a real issue with the original.
Yeah.
I also fucked up because the first time I tried to complete Dead Rising, I tried to complete it all the way in one go.
Yeah, I did that.
You can't do it. You need to do like a New Game Plus.
If it's not a New Game Plus, is it? That's why I want to play this again, because I never got it until later. You have to die, but when it says, "Oh, you've dead," do you want to start again but keep all your previous, levels and health and stuff? And I was like, "Well, no, I don't want to do that. I want to start from the beginning." So, but you couldn't do it, could you? I don't think you could.
Oh. The last thing that's mentioned in the forums is from What's My Tag. He says, Part 1 of the podcast was absolutely amazing. Easily one of my favourites since the podcast has started. Since some single player great games, my last comment left out was Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Athena, Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Yeah,
and Test Drive and he said the Test Drive Unlimited talk made me think of what your worst 360 games were. My main offender was Kane and Lynch 2 co-op. The shooting movement cover story and absolutely terrible. The only cop shooter I never finished.
The one that comes to my mind that wasn't very good was did anyone play Wheelman?
No, never played it.
Oh, it was a rough one. Who was in that one? It had one of those big stuff. Was it
Vin Diesel?
It was Vin Diesel, wasn't it? Wheelman, 2009. That game was a piece of shit. I'm just looking at pictures from it. It looks bad even for a 2008 game.
Right, are we anything else? Because we've been going for 3.5 hours.
I mean, I think I could probably sit here and talk about the 360 all night, but I think we've covered most things. I mean, maybe everyone should rattle off what their favorite multiplayer experience was, or something. Just one multiplayer experience that you remember very fondly.
Raw 2.
Yeah.
And Modern Warfare. And Halo. Lols.
I was going to say, not necessarily. We talked obviously a lot about the games that I love, like Gears Online, etc. But you did bring back to me a cherished memory from Red Dead Redemption when you were talking about it earlier, Sly.
Yeah.
So the first time I played it, I think you could have like up to 8 people in a posse.
Yeah.
And there was 7 of us online that night. And one of us got a carriage, which is like the 2 horses with the...
Yeah.
What's it called? It's got a proper name. I'm an idiot. But yeah, basically, we all bundled onto that, and there were 6 of us on this carriage. And one of the blokes we used to play with, Hobbit, he basically was left out, and he's like, well, I can't get on, can I? And it's like, oh, you better get on your mount. And he's like, I haven't got any mount. And he's like, you've got a donkey.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you started with like a mule as like the first mount, and then it went up to like a racehorse.
So like, I remember him basically trying to keep up with us in this like saloon carriage thing or whatever it is. On a donkey, and what made it worse is one of the other guys kept leaning out of the carriage and killing his donkey.
That's brilliant.
And all of us were so busy laughing, we didn't notice we was heading for the edge of a cliff.
Oh no!
And we all tumbled over.
Oh, that's so funny.
I just think all the online things is when you're just playing with your mates. And you, like you said, friendly fire or something's on, and you just keep winding them up to the point where you think they're going to snap, and then you just keep doing it again.
Good times.
I was going to say, I've got a couple memories of like the first time I played online on the 360 with people in the community. Like I could tell you now, the first time I played with Peebs would have been on, I want to say Black Ops 2, because I remember he came on the podcast the following week and he was like, this Sly Alman kid was like in the game and he was like top scoring, and I don't know, he sent me a party invite and he seemed to know what he was doing. So I remember that, and I remember playing Halo ODST firefight with Collie Wally, and I had to leave him at one point. My parents were like, we're going to IKEA, and I was like, oh, but I got more waves to do. They're like, oh, we got to go. And Colin was like, leave the Xbox on, and then I turned it off.
Oh no, gutted.
So he came, the next time I was on, he was like, Elliot, you're good at firefight, but don't turn your Xbox off if you have to walk away next time, because it closes the whole game. And I was like, oh, my bad. Sorry. And I remember playing Horde on Gears 3 with Dan. I played a load of it on the second one.
I played a load with Dan and Rubbish.
Yeah.
On the third one. Did you ever get in on one of his sessions where you were doing it Horde on Insane to 50?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It made you want to fucking snap your controller. Especially because the way Horde worked on 2 was there was no checkpoints. If you died, it was over. On 3, they had checkpoints every 10 waves. And I remember dying on wave like 48. We had to go back down to wave 40. But you lost all your like defenses and all your money. So you had to try and grind up 40 levels worth of money and defenses in like 10 levels.
It also depended on what boss you'd get each 10 waves.
Yeah.
Because if you were on Insane and you got the Brumac as your level 50 boss, you were fucked.
Yeah, pretty
You were
much.
literally fucked.
Because you could get like the Cantus Priests, you could get like 6 of those. You could get the Brumac. You could get like, it wasn't General Ram, but it was like, it looked like General Ram. And he had a big grenade launcher.
And the Berserker thing as well, the charger.
And the Berserker, yeah. Well, sometimes you could get 2 of those if you're really unlucky. But I remember there was this like church map, and I remember Dan and I and I can't remember who else was in there, but we've tried for like 4 hours to beat that wave. And when we beat wave 50 on Insane, like a chair went up. It's one of my like earliest memories of playing with Dan.
That's so awesome.
There's a level which is basically just steps going down. And
yeah, I know the one.
Track the different steps, like as they're coming up towards you. It's great because depending on where you camp out, it determines where the enemy spawns from.
Yeah, the one we did was like it was out like a church courtyard. There was a church you could go in. It was like pretty small, and then it was just a big open courtyard and like a hedge maze. So you were pretty exposed the whole time. And of course, but 3 had the turrets and the defenses and the walls and stuff, whereas 2 didn't have that. So it added a whole extra layer. So yeah, lots of fun memories online.
Yeah, completing Insane on Beast Mode as well was a big
Beast
highlight.
Mode. I forgot about Beast Mode.
One of the maps that we was really struggling to get past. I think it was Checkpoint. It was called. It was the one in the sort of shopping centre with the escalator.
Yeah, I know the one.
And it basically, loads of us had all annihilated, and it was down to the fact that the only people alive could actually spawn in was spawning in as tickers.
Oh.
And it was like there was shrieking going on. Come on!
You know what one was rough? Was the one in the Thrashball Stadium.
Yes, it was quite small, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah, it was tiny. All you could do was stand on the pitch or stand in the locker room. That was it. God, I can sit here talking about Gears all day.
We need to wind it down because I've got to go. My kids are bugging me here, so I need to. Yeah.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
One game each. What you'd say your favourite is? It's hard.
Oh, it's on the spot.
Gears of War 2 for me. Just don't think, just say it.
Castlevania, Lords of Shadows is way up there for me. But Lost Odyssey would probably be my number one.
Oh, you always want to, you greedy soul.
I'd say Skyrim because it's just my favourite in that kind of genre of open world exploration.
I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to have a multiplayer and a single player. Multiplayer Gears 2 and single player Mass Effect 2.
Okay. Lovely.
Cool. Right, let's end it here.
I never played the multiplayer for Mass Effect 3, actually. I heard it was supposed to be quite good.
It was pretty fun.
We're never going to end.
One more show.
Oh, no.
There's only about 5 games left we haven't talked about.
I know. Well, we're going to be going from a high to a bit of a low with the next one we do because it's going to be about the Xbox One.
Oh.
We do an Xbox One next. We're not doing PS3 next.
No, because we're doing all the Xbox systems and then
okay.
PlayStation.
You man, Xbox PlayStation from PS1.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Xbox One. It's gonna be a bit of an up and down, isn't it? Because like towards the middle, you had some really good games. Well, towards the middle, you had some really good games.
Darren's already warned me that he doesn't want to come on that one because there's nothing good to say.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Darren? Witcher 3. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's got highlights games-wise, but the system itself.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, we can talk about the Kinect 2 and how much of a success that was.
Yeah. We can talk about the infamous E3 when they announced it.
TV,
sports.
In the background and just be quiet and just chirp in when I got.
Oh, we could just put like Don Matrix audio clip at the start.
Yeah.
TV.
Well, I need to. Right, okay, we need to end.
Some of my favourite games from it were actually launch titles.
Yeah.
Really? Dead Rising 3?
Rise.
Oh, yeah, Rise.
We're not letting you go, Webby.
Well, my boy is literally standing behind me going, Daddy, make cookies with me. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Just for him, then.
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Hi, Marcus.
All right. Okay, guys, it's been really awesome. We've been 3 hours and 37 minutes. Marcus, be quiet for 1 minute. And thank you to all the Patreons. And look forward in 2 weeks. We do the Xbox One version episode. So for me, Mark Webb, Gamertag, Pearson ID, Steam ID, Webby, 360G.
Nick Fights on Twitter and Twitch.
And for me, Sly Almond.
And Sensei Switch.
So thank you very much. Don't forget to visit us on the Discord and everywhere else. It's been awesome. Thank you again to the patrons for making this happen, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Fucking hell, I
I'm
can't
so
believe I
glad
went.
we recorded this at 6 p.m. and not 4 a.m. I'm glad it's only 9:40 for me. It's lovely.
How long was that? 3.5 hours?
3 hours 40.
Yeah.
I better go get some shopping because I was going to go earlier, but then I didn't.
Well, I'm just going to end the stream. Thank you, everyone on Twitch. You've been awesome, and catch you later.